Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, looks like we're live. So, good morning from Atlanta. It's definitely not Jared Perkins right now on the stream. Uh, so
It
hi.
could be though. It
It
could
very
be
well could
Jared.
be. So, um, we're ready for day two. I'm Tyler Jennings, associate amateur scouting director here at Just Baseball, and of course, I've got the lovely Greg Zumak over here at Ivy Futures. Greg, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. This is just like yourself. This is the biggest days of the year for me. In my household, we joke that this is Christmas. I so this has been my favorite time of the year, and really historically, like day two, day three is like the most fun because you dig into all of these guys there's a ton of talent that's still on the board. Like,
Yeah.
yes, day one was amazing, 105. The vast majority of value is going to come from that, right? But what turned in from day three and day two into this mega day two, it's just a ton of fun, and there's still a lot of talented players on the board. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm with you. And like, I feel like there's gonna be some teams that do play that strategy where they buy someone down in the fourth round. I think Giants specifically, looking at what they did last night, like Gavin Keelan at 13, and then you go for Trevor Cohen in the third round, which we had Cohen somewhere in like the back end of the top 200. So like, he's definitely a name that we were aware of. I don't think we ever expected him to go this high, but I feel like there's definitely some play in terms of buying someone down in the fourth round because they did that last year. Like Giants had James Tibbs at 13, took Dakota Jordan in the fourth round for an overslot. So I think they're a team to watch in terms of like they're going to buy a prep down there and go from there. I don't know who the prep would be at this point, but looking at what we have available, I know Cameron Appenzeller is the number one prep on our board, still left to go. Mason Neville is still on the board, so going to be interesting to see what happens. I've heard Appenzeller might still be going to Tennessee no matter what here, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, a couple other teams to watch for. Washington, the Nats, they probably still have a bunch of money to play with. Obviously, they still took some moves, but the Willett signing and just having the first overall pick gives them a ton of overage, right? Like 5% off of what was it, like 11.1 or something like that. That's a massive amount of money. So you can toss that onto day four. Feels like day four, fourth round, fifth round pick, and you can still get pretty crazy. The Cubs would be a team. I mean, that's a team I follow very closely, but I would be very shocked if they don't make kind of a bigger play early today. So much so that their VP of scouting, Dan Kantrowitz, was very public about their flexibility last night. And that's normally a guy that keeps things fairly close to the vest. So I would imagine that they're a team to watch there. I would have to imagine the Angels might as well. I mean, what they do is always kind of a little bit more of a wild card, we'll say. But the Bremner selection, picking second, none of the others yesterday screamed like massive, huge overslot, devote multiple extra millions of dollars. So those would be a few teams that kind of like the Giants as well that I would kind of watch out for early today.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the Angels, from what I've heard on the Bremner, it might not be as big of a haircut as we think it is at number two, which is a fascinating kind of thing to really talk
Yeah.
about or dive into. Is like, um, from what I've heard last night, like they were really in on Bremner for a couple months now, even with some of the backup and everything. And I think the biggest thing that happened with him this year was the slider backing up. There was no longer that bridge gap between the fastball and changeup, and guys were sitting fastball. They spit at the changeup because they knew he couldn't land the slider or the slider shape wasn't good. So I think that's a 4 point of their development with him, assuming that they are actually going to try and develop him. I don't know what the plan is there because you know how the Angels are. They love to fast track their first rounders because the past three are already in the majors. But Bremner's a guy that still needs a bit more refinement, in my opinion.
I
So
agree.
I think for my sake, I would love to see Bremner develop that slider again because if he does, that's a diabolical starting pitcher profile. So
Yeah, he's an interesting one for me because there was at least a thought I had in my head, and I can't say that this is sourced within the Angels organization or anything like that. I won't claim that, but there's some element of he already showed it with the slider, and so it's got me thinking maybe they're not as concerned about the development, because I agree. I do think it needs more refinement. I do think it needs more development. I worry that maybe there's a belief of, well, he showed it in 2024. Let's just let him see if he can show it again. See if it like clicks again, because I agree. I think that really there's no one in this draft that I would feel so confident to say that they don't need any significant development. Like even these upper echelon pitchers could stand to take a pro look after throwing the pro ball and seeing the seam shift differences and just the overall like less ride and less carry, and see how that arsenal plays.
Yeah, I think Cade Anderson was like a prime example of that, where the College World Series ball was different than the ball they had during the regular season, and his carry dipped to like 15 and a half.
Yeah.
And he also wasn't commanding the fastball at all, and he still went, complete game against Coastal Carolina too. So that, first off, should tell you how dynamic of a pitcher he is, to be able to not have his fastball but still get outs at the rate that he was getting with the secondaries. Like that curveball is dynamic. There's a question. Kane's Cat Heat 305. Was it surprising to see Griffin Hughes in the third round? I don't think so. I think Hughes was. We had him in like the fifth round at like 140, 145 on our board. And I think at the beginning of the year, this was definitely something like he looked very good to start ACC play. Got tired as the year went along, but it's a flat fastball, knows how to command it, good slider, good changeup. I think he's a guy that fits pretty well with what the Mariners look for. So seeing him in the third round, I think that's a pretty good value for what he is, even though he went higher than we probably expected him to.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, once you get beyond the first probably like 60, 70 picks, you start diving into, hey, who is really popping on internal team models? Who do you just have a lot of conviction of from like a player development standpoint? I mean, I'm not one to honestly disregard the beliefs in the Mariners system. Like they do a really good job of aligning both their scouting and their player development, at least from my viewpoint on the outside. And so there's most times that the Mariners will take a selection and I'm like, either, yeah, that totally jives, or like, I might be missing something if I'm kind of shy on it. So I think that, that might be kind of another prime example of that.
Yeah, I also wonder if Seattle's doing an interesting thing with Nicky Becker, second rounder last night. You take Stevenson in at 35 in the comp round, and it's already been reported Cade Anderson's going to be signing for 8.8. Shout out Aram upstairs, by the way. He's the one that got that one. But, I think the Mariners are definitely playing into that a bit, and I wouldn't be shocked again. Like, they're another team that I think could do something funky here with the amount of bonus money that they have. Like, they had the second most behind the Orioles because the Orioles decided, like, we're going to add 2.5 to our bonus pool, like, last minute. But, I do like what the Mariners are doing here. I think Cade Anderson at 3 is exceptional value for what he is. I thought he was the best arm in the class. Stevenson's good. I do like Stevenson enough to where, like, I understand he won't hit probably at the next level, but power and there's defensive prowess behind the plate. And then Hughes is a good get as well for them. And Becker's really, really tantalizing. He's very athletic. Like, maybe a toned down version of Daniel Pierce is probably like the best way I would kind of describe him.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
But like I don't think he's going to campus, depending on how much he gets paid here, to be honest.
No, and there was some talk even in leading up in the last few weeks that Becker could even force his way into the first round. Now, obviously, falling, quote unquote, off of that to the Mariners makes a ton of sense, right? Like you just mentioned, you just laid it all out there. They're armed with a bunch of cash. I think he's an interesting one. I again, Mariners do a really good job of identifying some of these prep shortstops. Who do they target? Who makes a lot of sense? Even some of the guys that we were heard rumored with like their third overall selection, obviously with Cade Anderson on the board, I think that was a no-brainer. But guys like JoJo Parker, some of the other prep shortstops up there, just kind of how it felt like they were laying those guys out. You could see the path on their what they appreciated and viewed and valued. So, Becker's a really interesting one, but Jim Callis said this last night. I don't remember when in the course of the evening, kind of mentioned, like, if you're getting selected here, you're almost absolutely going, and signing. There's just like too much of a value loss for a team to not have a very firm commitment. We've seen exceptions to that. I think the Angels had one with Prager last year. I'm totally blanking on this. Didn't the Brewers have one? The Brewers.
Chris Lavonis, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Right. Absolutely. Super 60 God. They lost out on him. So, I mean, there are exceptions, even like really smart organizations, but I lean 99% of these guys have got something in mind.
Yeah, I think Tyler Bell was also another case where like he signed just before or like not signed, but he was taken before Lavonis, and here we are. He's now the first player under Nick Mingione, where he's hit 10 bombs as a freshman, made the collegiate national team, which granted they got swept by Japan. We don't talk about that, but he like you mentioned it. Like this is definitely a range where most of these guys are going to sign, and if there are exceptions, I expect them to be pretty valuable college players. Like Lavonis has already started Friday night for Wake Forest, which is very valuable. And Prager, that one was kind of just like looking back on it, why not take the money to the Angels? Like that's definitely one of the ones where like Harrison did away from last year, walked away from a ton of money, did not have a good year. Prager, number standpoint, it was a good year. Like I understand Texas A&M didn't make the postseason at all after being preseason number one, but Prager also just backtracked a lot this year. His velo was down, command kind of went away, and you don't really have a lot of leg room already as he was with the amount of the lack of velo that he had already. So seeing that he's already, come down and really made it tough on himself to get some more money here, it's kind of it's hard to watch as an outsider because you want these guys to see, get paid, get the money. But that's definitely one of the ones where I look at it's like really wish he had that one back.
Yeah, I have to admit that one was a head scratcher at the beginning. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. Obviously, you have to imagine there's considerable, we'll say, support from Texas A&M. Probably not to the same extent, of course, that he walked away from. But you have a ton of factors. So I have to imagine there was some more at play. Maybe he just didn't click with the Angels. I'm not sure, but that one didn't make sense from the beginning. And you mentioned Tyler Bell. I'll be honest, I was soft on him last year. I actually did not expect that he would have this much immediate success in college. I thought he'd be a good college player, but kind of one of those guys that maybe slow burned for a couple years. Nope, proved me wrong like immediately, like the first couple weeks in college. So I have to admit, I think we gotta celebrate our wins, own our losses, and Tyler Bell was a guy I was just not as confident on. So kudos to him. He made an immediate impact.
Yeah, glad he did. And looking at him, I still kind of wonder what the hit tool looks like for him moving forward. Like just watching him at collegiate training, not this past week, but the week before, where it felt like the swing was it's kind of uphill. He was trying to like do too much in the air, and he wasn't really focusing on trying to put the ball in play. So I think he's still a shortstop long term. Yeah. Like it's fluid. It was pretty him and Rock Chalowski being second base and shortstop was fun to watch because it's both smooth, very athletic, very fluid motions at both positions. I'm like, why are they both on the same team in training camp? And why can't I just like enjoy either one of them at shortstop? Like it was very impressive to watch both of them. But I think Tyler Bell is probably put himself higher up on boards next year. At this point, he just needs to really focus on that hit tool moving forward, kind of see what happens because it's still exceptional bat speed in the shortstop prowess. So we'll see what happens there. And actually, speaking of the devil, someone asked in the comments, Nico here, where you see Bell going next year? Probably early second round at this point, if I had to guess. I'd say that's good. Like I want more confidence in the hit tool to say he's a first rounder, but everything else really does scream like a first round profile if he can start hitting more. So we'll see what happens there. Nico, thank you for the question. And then of course Spencer here with Coy James getting to campus now. He's not been drafted in the first 3 rounds. I'll be honest. I would say 50-50 at this point. I could totally see him being like an overslot here in the 4th round. But I feel like if he makes it to like rounds 10 or 11, I'm pretty confident that he's going to go to campus, which he had some helium late in the process. I think we pushed him off the board quite a bit. And I know Peyton Sauer, our guy from Auburn, loves Coy James. So very interesting profile. Is very aggressive. There's some pop there, and the power really ticked up this spring. Um, so he's interesting. I think if he does get the canvas, he'll be a good player for a couple of years.
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm getting questions on Coy James from folks not with the Cubs org, but like Cub fans, because they know that the Cubs should have some money. And Coy James is a really interesting guy. Like you mentioned, there's a ton of helium. I was hearing his name more and more and more as we were leading down the process, and then to not see him on day one, I have to admit, like that makes me think that they're got something lined up. Now I could be completely wrong on that, but just with a couple of those organizations, kind of a good hedge. It's definitely a more aggressive play, but if you were a little bit less risk averse yesterday, I mean, for instance, we talked about the Giants, right? Like they've been heavy on some of these middle infielders before. They took what I would view as a pretty safe profile in Gavin Killen, a very good player, but somebody that the floor feels very good. And I mean that in a positive way. Like they should get very early value out of him and pretty consistent value going forward, especially if he can stick at shortstop. All of a sudden, that kind of lets you take a little bit of a riskier play, which the Giants have done. Now, they've got some new execs running the org, so I don't want to make too much of maybe some of their previous selections, but the Giants would be kind of a good fit for Coy James. There's a few organizations that'd be really interesting there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I think you hit the nail on the head pretty well with Keelan. Like this, he's going to be tried out at shortstop. I feel like to kind of start here, and he played shortstop on the stretch for Tennessee when they kind of moved Dean Curley off the position, and he wasn't terrible. Like it's something that you can kind of project upon, maybe improve moving forward. And the approach change this year was exceptional, for what it's worth. I'm very happy he decided to not walk 9 times in a year, to be honest. But there is another question, Christopher. Thank you for asking this. What do we think of day one draft for the Jays, and what's the likelihood that Jacob Parker is the selection at 109? Jacob, I haven't heard too much about him, to be honest. Like his name has not been brought up to me a ton, but I do like the power from the left side. I wouldn't say it's 0% that he's there, but we'll see what happens. But the day one draft for the Jays in total, I love the JoJo Parker pick. Absolutely love that. And I understand, like, what was it? We were told Jamie Arnold before, and then we had a switch up, and then it was JoJo Parker. I think Joe Doyle may have tweeted it out first, but first off, Joe Doyle, absolute fucking robot he is. And I mean that in a very good thing. Like he was really impressive last night, getting to talk, not only being able to like view him as a person outside of that, but like he is well connected and very, very fun. So he's very fun. I love him personally, but JoJo was great value for me at 8. I think he was very underrated, like a 70 hit, potential 50 plus power, even if he doesn't have a defensive home. And then looking at the rest of the class, like Jake Cook at 81, I love Jake Cook. I think he's a swing change away from tapping into more power. It could be a legitimate, like, not a 5-tool threat, but he's a guy that could be really valuable, not only on, being a slappy table setter with speed, but he can be a valuable center field defender as well.
Yeah, I had people, around when the Cubs were looking at like pick 56 that were actually sending me messages like, do you think they're going to pop Jay Cook? I would have been really happy for most teams that I was kind of watching and following what they were doing if they popped him in the second. I know that I sometimes we reference pipeline rankings. Well, not we, but like a lot of people reference them, right? They're just super easy, accessible. And I think their interface is really awesome. And I've got a lot of respect for like Jim and Jonathan and all of that. But, I have to give a shout out a little bit to the Just Baseball folks and a couple of these other kind of publications, Prospects Live and a few others that do some good work out there. Because I think the overall ranking doesn't paint Jay Cook as a guy that's in the low 100s. I think that was what Pipeline had, somewhere around there. And he's just a better player than that. And so I really think like the Blue Jays got what I would view as kind of, it's a bit of a development step, but like a second round player in the third round. And obviously we have to wait to see what the money looks like, right? Like it's possible that they paid him requisite value of where I would kind of view him. But at the end of the day, like I think they walked away with two very good players that if you could say almost any team, hey Jared, if you could say almost any team walked away with those two, you'd feel pretty good about the start of their draft.
Absolutely. That's where I'm at. And I think, Jake Cook himself, like he's more of a guy. Like I texted Joe Doyle when I saw him in May about Jake Cook. Was like, this is a guy swinging a 56-degree wedge from the left side of the plate. Like it's really impressive in terms of like the approach angle to the ball. It's like very, very steep, and I feel like there's some pop in there that we just haven't tapped into yet. Because he was just so focused on putting the ball in play and slashing it to all fields. Not to mention 70 runner, 70 arm in center field. I think even what we did, I think we put him in like the 90s going into the draft. I think we even underrated him there. So we'll see what happens. The Toronto did very good moving forward. I think the Orioles as well. Vinny asked here, any shot, a couple more prep players, maybe one or two. I would wager at least one, but I think what the Orioles did with what they had panned out pretty well. I think Eloy might get a little bit overslot because of the fact that, this is a Golden Spikes winner. He's a guy that kind of fell a little bit, probably thought he would go into teens, and then here we are, he's at 31. Take Bodine beforehand. Bodine's a fantastic player in his own right, and I really like Slater to run for his value at 37. 19, I can't remember who they took at 19, and I feel like I should know this. Ike Irish, too, by the way.
Yeah.
That's really good value for what he is.
Yeah.
I thought he was a top 10 pick. So
I thought he was going at 17. I didn't think he was going to last. I had a different selection. I'm pretty happy with Ethan Conrad and how that kind of lined up going in. But I didn't think they were going to pass on Ike Irish. So the Cubs, I thought that was really good value. There were a few players that the Orioles picked that, sorry, Jared, we've been kicking back and forth, so I jump in here. But I thought the Orioles nailed it on a couple guys, and one of them is JT Quinn. He is not getting the love. I do not look at where a lot of external publications, things like Pipeline or whatever, have JT Quinn. I was hearing, look, this guy is a second rounder. He is 6'6". He's starting to take to starting. He was starting out on the Cape, so he was really coming on late. I mean, honestly, that is a guy, that's a dream selection for Baltimore that could use some pitching infusion. Again, you don't draft for major league need, but drafting for organizational need is still, a factor. And JT Quinn is a slam dunk pick. I think that one is an awesome selection.
I'm with you. I understand. Like we had him in it was like 190 or something, or 193. But to your point, where he's starting on the Cape, did very well. I think he struck out 10 batters at one point in like 4 innings not too long ago. It just looked more and more like this is a guy that he found new stuff. Like I dove into the data. The fastball found some more value to it. He's still throwing as hard as he was before, getting up to 97, 98. And the breaking balls are stupid good. So I think he's a guy that with Baltimore, he's going to flourish. I wouldn't be shocked if he does. So anyways, Jared, welcome to the pod, by the way.
How's it going? Just been sitting here listening to you guys chat. It's the best thing in the world.
How was your meeting, buddy?
That was good. Love doing the full-time job. It's great. Tyler, how has your Atlanta experience been?
It was fun. And let me tell you, that was a surreal experience, being able to walk in those doors for the first time. And I was nervous as hell. I won't even lie. Like, it was a very fun experience. They had me sat next to like the MLB Network crew too, so I get to hear Harold Reynolds drop his comps all the time too. So that was a little fun, but no, like overall, like very, very happy with the setup and everything. It was cold in that room, but it, like I said, surreal experience to really finally be there in person to experience the draft. Because last year we weren't able to get there.
Yeah.
And this year, here we are. It's a testament to what we've been able to do, and like a testament of just like the hard work we've all put in to get to this point. So it was very pleasing and very, very exciting on that part in terms of hard work's paid off, and here we are.
Love it. It's awesome. Did you all get to all the questions in the chat here?
Not all of them just yet.
I like this one.
Mason Neville, I think, is probably the biggest
Mhm.
surprise for me. It's just the pull side power prowess. I think teams might be scared off a little bit with the hit tool, but it's a guy that can play in center, really good runner. We had him at 29. He's the top ranked guy still on our board for us. So I think he's probably going to get popped here very quickly.
Yeah. Royals. Just kidding. Probably not going to make it that far.
Yeah. By the way, we do see Timmy from Canada. Cannot ignore him. I wouldn't be shocked if he's picked here in the beginning of the fourth round. I think we had him roughly in this range anyways, at 105. So, like, hey, he could be the first guy off the board today. Really love Timmy. Not going to pronounce his last name for what it's worth. So, if I try, it's not going to go well. But there's that. I think Nico asked another question too. Who are some of your favorite prep players still in next year's class? And this is interesting. Like, if there's any 5-tool players in next year's class, it's Grady Emerson and Jacob Lombard. I don't think there's no question about those two's talents. Brady Harris, I wish he was healthy. From what I've heard, he's had 2 pretty significant injuries in the past 2 years. So he's kind of trying to come back still. He's not fully healthy, but from what I've seen, he is very much every bit of like a tools up prospect who may or may not hit the next level. It's really good bat speed. He hit 100 in the outfield during workouts the other day at PG National. Really fantastic runner. I think he's a guy that once he's fully healthy will pop next year. And then of course we've got guys like Gio Rojas, who's probably the best arm in the class. Caden Wechter, who son of Doug, if anybody remembers him. He's a guy that could go pretty high. So there's a lot of talent in next year's class. Like Bo Peterson's another guy. So I think next year's class looks really good on paper. And getting to see those guys recently, we'll see what happens. I think next year is going to be a very talented group of players in terms of what we saw this year. So there's that. And I think the last question here before we kind of get ready to go is good old John Brophy. First off, hi, John. It's been a while. But I like that that's Kilby kicked to the Yankees. I know, again, the shoulder concerns are some worrisome there. And I think Gagewood had the same thing. Like, there are some teams and back into the teams that were really kind of sketched out on his shoulder a little bit. But, you know, Kilby, for my money, is very talented. I think the offensive tools are kind of off the charts a little bit. Very adjustable swing plane, good bat speed. He's got the chance to hit for average and power moving forward. And he's also just a really solid defender in the dirt. He's probably going to stick on the left side. So given the projection, given the tools that he already has, I like the pick. And he had helium down the stretch here as well. And last question, too, Ricky Shepard, first round. He's not got as much twitch as some of the other guys, but the bat the ball is really good. I would like to see the power kind of tick up a little bit, but I've only seen him for like one at bat. So that's just like a very surface level evaluation on him. But I'm hoping over the course of the summer here, like 18U this upcoming week, and then area codes as well, we're going to see what happens there.
Love it. I have a quick question for you, Tyler, before they start making picks here. Do you think the Royals...
They're making picks right now.
Oh, big one off the board.
Landon Hodge at 106.
Yeah. Quick shout out to James Fox, who did some excellent work covering the White Sox. He was kind of in on that one earlier today. I just want to give a quick shout out. That's a big one off the board.
Yeah. The White Sox draft right now looks really good.
Looks
really, really good. Riley Kelly to the Rockies. Kelly's another one where, like, he's a performer. He had helium coming into the draft in 22. Big curveball. I don't know how much value there is on the fastball moving forward, but like he's a pretty solid kid and pretty solid athlete. So like, I dig that pick for the Rockies, even though I will say the Max Blue pick last night, not my favorite, admittedly. Drew Farrow off the board to Miami. That's a really good pick.
I like that.
Wasn't there a stretch this year where we had like 14 extra base hits in a row or something like that?
Yeah, wasn't he? Yeah, he was like 11 for 11 at some point.
Yeah, he was unconscious.
Nuts.
And like power over hit, but it's a really, really good bat. Really, really good bat. So dig that one a lot for the Marlins. But that Landon Hawks pick, man, that's a big get. Like LSU commit, I think it was Stanford beforehand. I could be mistaken, but it is a guy that had healing him. It's a very solid swing from the left side. Probably can catch at the next level. I think that's very good value for what he is here. Even though like I think we had him somewhere in like the 160s potentially. I'm trying to remember where we had him, but very solid get for them. I really do enjoy that a lot.
Jake Monroe, little to the Angels.
That's an Angels pick.
Yeah.
That's an Angels pick.
Yep. That's a pretty classic one. This is an interesting spot too, because we've got the Nationals coming up. We'll shoot up the Giants here pretty soon. So this will be kind of an interesting spot to see who's got some cash.
Yeah.
Jake Monroe is a guy, for any Cubs fans that are watching, they seem to be kind of interested and in on him. And so, I don't know if that was going to be their fourth rounder or anything like that, but that's one that they were in on.
He was a very interesting bat this year, where in terms of like you look at him, he's like 6'2", 230, but he has so much feel to hit for a guy that you would think is a big popper. It's very interesting, and I think he can pick it at third base. So like I like this pick for the Angels, even though it's very on brand for what they do.
There we go, Gavin Turley
like
to the A's.
A's are doing well, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with concerns, because if there weren't,
sure.
even if they were average contact tools, this guy is not lasting to the fourth round. I saw Turley for a couple years when I was out at Oregon, working for Oregon State, not for the baseball team. But Turley was electric even when he was out as a freshman in fall practice. We saw it for several years. This is a premier power speed kind of combo. He hit a ball in the cold March of Nebraska that I'm not positive has landed. He had a couple of them. So, big power speed. The A's have kind of at times targeted some of those really high upside ones. So that's a very fun selection for me.
Yeah, I dig it. By the way, Miguel Sime is a National.
I like it.
That's a good one.
That's a very good pick. Like Sime, I understand. Like he had concerns last year, where like yes, he touches 100, but the command wasn't there. The breaking ball wasn't sharp. He evolved as a pitcher this year in more ways than we could have imagined. When I wasn't there at the NHSI start, but I had heard guys telling me that like he's able to locate upper 90s, touch the 100. The changeup's exceptional, and he's also got a better breaking ball than what he did a year ago. So I think this is great, for the Nationals. I think we had him in the top 75, but this is exceptional value for what they are. And then Micah Bucknam to Toronto. Jared, are you speaking?
Yeah, I like that, but I was muted.
Oh, you're muted. Bucknam's fun. He's definitely going to be spamming sliders a lot, but up to 89, sweeper, has a curveball that's really dynamic in the low 80s. Feel for a changeup, good fastball. It's probably just going to be a setup pitch for the breakers, but Bucknam has value, and he had a loud ball for Dallas Baptist. Like we all thought Elwinger was going to be the Friday guy going into the year. It was Bucknam, and Bucknam looked very good the first weekend against North Dakota State. So I dig that one a lot. Gustavo Melendez. I love this pick for Pittsburgh.
Yep.
That's a great selection.
Pittsburgh is crushing this draft,
too.
They
really are.
I had heard yesterday that Melendez was a lot to not get out of top 50 for what it's worth. And looking back on it, it didn't happen, but getting him in the fourth round for a guy that's as tooled up as he is, he's twitchy as hell. Insanely twitchy. So Pittsburgh's doing a good job. Like looking at what they've had, like they had Angel Cervantes at 50. That's a really good like high floor pick. He's very young. Seth Fernandez, by the way, that's a really good fit. I think that's like gonna take time, but I think that might be been the best place for him to go in that top 10. To be honest.
To the Reds.
There he is. That's such a Reds pick too.
Yeah.
That is such a Reds pick. That he's going to be hitting like 25 bombs in Great American Ballpark in short term, I think. Want to answer this question from Spencer again. Thank you, Spencer, for asking these questions, by the way. Dixon Williams and Ethan Young. I would say Ethan Young's like a back end of the top 10 guy. There's guys that are really on him coming into like May. And Dixon Williams is a kid that, there's a lot of swing and miss with the power outs like this year. Good defender at shortstop. I think they're both top 10 picks, or top 10 round picks, rather. So thank you again for that question, Spencer. Mason McConaughey to the Rangers. Kind of don't hate this. I really don't.
He fell off a little bit because of the injury, right?
Yeah, he was injured.
Yeah.
Very early in the year too, I think.
It derailed the Huskers like rotation plans almost immediately. I think it was like even late February or something. He looked electric in very brief outings that I saw, kind of local to us. But yeah, no, he looked good.
Yeah,
it's an interesting pick.
I'm trying to bring up his data now. In 3 games, struck out 18. Slider 53% whiff rate on 80 pitches total. That's pretty good, I would say. Got up to like 95, I believe. Like tickles mid 90s. Probably more of a 2-seamer, if anything, but really good slider, pretty good changeup. I don't hate this for Texas. They might have something up their sleeve that we don't know. Giants like Lorenzo Miola. That's a surefire shortstop pick at the next level. I think there are some guys that actually put a 7 on Miola's glove, from what I've heard. Good little assessing guy.
I'm gonna take a couple minutes because I think I figured out who. I think I've got the gist on who the Cubs are maybe targeting here. So just kind of looking at that, but should be interesting. Yeah. I think this is definitely kind of the area where we're going to see some of these interesting pops. Miola's really interesting. I don't know if you mentioned that one. Sorry, I was looking at a text. But yeah, I think we're kind of seeing where teams have laid out their money and kind of where they're taking these initial early swings, so to speak.
Yeah, 100%. And Don Fritton to the Rays, by the way.
I was going to say your guy, Tyler.
Yeah. Very good fastball, by the way. Very good fastball. But I'd like to see the secondaries kind of get better. His changeup got better this year. I'll give him that much. And he kept the ball in the ballpark. Like last year, that was his big issue because he just threw so many heaters. Another thing to note on Neville, because Elijah just texted me this. Neville was drafted by the Reds in 22.
That's right. I forgot about that.
This
Out
is
of high school.
This is definitely a play from them. Mason White also off the board to Boston. Jared, I know you love yourself some Mason White, buddy.
That's left-handed swing. Like he can't pick up spin, but man, when he turns on a fastball, it's fun. It was like we saw him at Shriners, and then Will saw him again back at Globe Life for the Big 12 championship. And I think he just loves hitting there because it seems like he was hitting a bomb every single at bat, and it was going like 400 feet.
Globe Life merchant.
Yep.
Am I allowed to make that joke?
I love it. Ooh, the Red Sox too, and I like that. Okay, Boston's low-key having a good draft too.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Stick figure on the mound going to the Twins. Jason Reitz, baby.
That Oregon series where I missed every good Oregon player because I didn't go to the doubleheader.
Oh yeah, that's right. He struck out he went 7 or something.
It was like his best outing all year.
He struck out 14 against somebody in Supers, I think.
Oh, did he?
No, not Supers, Regionals. Because they went 0-2. But thing on Reitz, stupid tall. He's like 6'11". Think Sean Jelly, just without the treating women terribly allegations right now. But really steep fastball plane. I think changeup's pretty good. Sliders kind of like the same thing where like Trey Savage had that like vertical cutty slider. It's kind of similar to that because of how high the release is, but got a lot of chase with the secondary pitches this year. So I think there's a role to be carved out for him somewhere. I'm just kind of curious on where it would be, but he's a very good pitcher in his own right, especially for how tall and projectable he is.
Cade Crossland feels like a money saver here for the Cardinals, right? That's got to be.
Yeah, has to be a little bit. Crossland I was a little low on this year. I just never thought the command ever really turned a corner. But for what he is, like, good fastball, really good changeup. Just I want to see the command kind of come back a bit.
Real quick. I think the Cubs are going Caleb Wing here.
Oh.
That's kind of at least one report they got. There we go. So that was the guy that I was kind of digging in on. It looks like they worked something out a few picks before, so they're hoping he was going to make it past St. Louis. And Boston, actually, that was another group. But Caleb Wing, really, really exciting. That's a guy from the California area. I like that pick. I think that's a really 6'2". He's got an interesting kind of overall package and arsenal, especially with some of these prep guys, though. It's all about what you can develop from here, right? Like, obviously, as they're still growing into their body, their biomechanics are changing. Even some of their like motor preferences aren't really locked in at this age. But I think that, that's a really good one. The Cubs are going to have some cash, but they look like they will have spent some right here. That's a guy that, depending on how you feel about certain kind of rankings or whatever, that's very firmly appropriately an overslot.
Yeah, and like Wing is highly projectable, really athletic. He's touched 97, but you usually sit in that like 90, 93 range. I would imagine he probably sits higher than that once he really fills out his frame. But it's an interesting fastball. It's more of a running shape, but the changeup's very, very good. The curveball has some upside. This is, for me, like a pretty good pick, and we had him in this range too, so it actually works out perfectly. So thank you, Cubs, for validation there. Mason Peters, by the way, is the pick to Seattle, which makes me think that they want him to start. Because he was a late addition to the board, and granted, I have him down in like 300s, but I had mentioned that he's a guy that goes in the top, like 5 to 10 rounds if somebody thinks he can start. And he also threw like 6 no-hit innings against Liberty this year, where the fastball plays up. From 92, 94, he hits 97, he'll cut it, but the breaking ball is stupid good. So he's got some other weapons. The slider really showed towards the end of the year. I think he's a good bet as well. Dean Livingston to Arizona is really good, by the way.
Another team having a good draft.
Dean Livingston is arm speed central. Let me tell you, like that's a very good mold right there.
Forbes, Curley, Livingston, that's a fun trio of arms right there.
Yes, he is. Wonder what Baltimore does here at round 4.
Colin Eamon.
Oh, he's finally off the board.
Mm-hmm.
That's insanely good value, by the way. We had him in the 60s.
Yeah.
Also do see a question. Where's my StreamYard thing?
The Rays.
The Rays last night. Fantastic job.
Oh, yeah.
I'm inclined to believe that. I think they did an exceptional job of what they had at their resources. Like, Daniel Pierce is really good. Summerhill at 42 is great value. Cooper Fleming's also really good at second round. Dean Moss, I'm more indifferent on. Like, I kind of think he's a little bit nerfed in terms of like he's 6 foot 180, but it's really good torque. And I think there's more power than he probably should have. But Peyton Gray, athletic freak. So I really like what Tampa Bay has kind of done here. This is very upside heavy, but they've done a good job of it. I think also Milwaukee, by the way, while they're on the clock, Milwaukee did a very good job last night in terms of, I understand like Brady Ebel, we had him in like the hundreds, and I didn't really think highly of the profile, but It's like very Eric Batanti-esque. Josh Flores, by the way, is the Brewers pick, and that's just very Brewers. The potential high upside guy with a ton of really good stuff, especially the breaking balls. The breaking balls are exceptional. The fastball is up to 97. He's also very relievery and has a ton of command questions. But like, I like the gamble they have here because I'd imagine he probably gets a pretty penny away from Kentucky, and the Brewers just love taking these high upside guys. Later in rounds. We're talking about Eric Batanti, but also Cooper Pratt was in the 6th round that draft.
Yeah. I mentioned on the Just Baseball stream last night that you compared Brady Ebel to Batanti, and it was like the perfect fit because the Brewers took him.
Want to make a note on Cooper Fleming really quick because that was a guy that I think we're going to look back on and say, how did this guy last to this round? I mean, he had at least, I don't want to speak out of turn, but it sounds like multiple teams kind of lining up immediately after the Rays that were looking to get that guy as an overslot. Vandy commits, you're anticipating kind of a higher price in all likelihood, right? Without any kind of inside information there. And then just the overall profile, like he was rising. And there were even some talks that teams felt like they might want to even take him in the comp round. And so, I think that looked amazing. I thought Tatum Gray might actually even go up higher as well. I think that was an excellent value selection. I was actually really surprised he was on the board.
There was so much Tatum Gray smoke.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
oh,
my God.
But first off, Astros taking Nick Monastery for Southern Miss. Underrated year. I didn't have him on my board because I just wasn't sure where to put him. But Monastery is a very, very good prospect in his own right and had a fantastic year for Southern Miss. Briggs McKenzie, I know exactly who took that pick, and I'm going to tell you right now, I love it.
I do too. You got me sold on Briggs McKenzie.
He's going to be a pretty penny. He is going to be a pretty penny.
Yeah.
LSU commit. I would have thought if he got the campus, he might be a first rounder in a couple years. But really fluid, really easy operation. He has pitchability. Very talented kid. This is the first question mark for me. Is Nolan Sailors to the Royals? I am not too familiar with Nolan Sailors.
So I saw him a lot, actually, my neck of the woods. He really started to turn it on throughout the year, and there were not a lot of scouts that were on him. Would not surprise me to just kind of see him maybe pop inside on some of the models. But I had questions from individuals that just lived in the Omaha area, just kind of fans. Actually, one of them was Creighton fan, saying if anybody was going to get drafted. I was like, Noah Sailors is going to get drafted. He's looking really, really good. Their catcher as well. I don't know why I'm blanking. McHugh is also pretty solid. I would anticipate that he gets drafted as well. But yeah, Sailors, not a guy that's going to look high on rankings, but is somebody that was like consistently producing. So
that's a big money saver right there too.
Yeah, I would anticipate it, and maybe Kansas City, fairly close to Omaha. They had some, easy to send a pro scout right over from Werner Park, about 25 minutes up the road to Charles Schwab, where the Blue Jays play.
Yeah, and also like looking at the data here, only 18% swing and miss. Chases a little bit, but he also hit 400. So
pretty good.
And he's also a senior. This is definitely a money saver.
And really quick, I know you know this, but just as a reminder for anybody, especially when it's not in the heat of June, Charles Schwab is a very difficult place to hit.
Yes.
That park plays massive. It's looks like Safeco Field when it's in March and April. So that is what he did was pretty impressive production.
Yeah. By the way, moving past Sailors here, Caleb Blaze is the pick to Detroit here. That's a guy that's getting 7 feet of extension from the left side. It's ridiculous. And Michael Selena is going to the Padres. Selena, he blew out against Tennessee this year, but it's really loud fastball metrics. Got it up to 102, I do believe. And the slider kind of jumped forward this year. I think he might be a reliever, but solid That's all I get. It's like a Tyson Neighbors-esque pick for them from a year ago.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. And if you're good with the medicals and stuff like that, you know he's going to come back. But I think that's solid value right there. I mean, I know he's probably early 200s for us on rankings.
Which one again?
Selena. Oh, 300s.
Yeah, I think I took him off the board because of the injury.
Yeah,
so.
But probably save some good money right there too.
Oh yeah,
and the Padres need it.
Yeah, but I understand. I was saying we were 105 for 105 coming into today. Yeah, that's no longer the case on the board. Mason McConaughey was the first person to beat that. So
love the Phillies pick here, Sean Youngerman.
Fastball, backspin, go Burr. That's literally what it like. It's one of the best fastballs in the entire country.
Yeah, and that was electric to watch at Shriners when we were there.
Oh yeah,
I remember texting you while I was sitting in the stands, and that's what you texted me.
Was like fastball shape go Burr. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. He commands it well too. Like this is a guy that I found coming into the year was like we were trying to do like a interesting fastball shape article coming in, which we never put it out unfortunately, but he was like number one on my list. Of like, holy shit, this is really good. He came from Westmont College, which was they're not a D1 school. I think they're D2. Goes to Oklahoma State. He started in the rotation at some point in the year. Then went like 8 shutout against Kansas State or something. And it just looks very, very good. I think this is great value for the Phillies. Kind of fits their type too. It's not like a Gage Wood, but they've gone after guys with really, really good fastballs. And Youngerman fits the bill for that. So
I like Luke Hill to the Guardians. I wanted him to go to the Royals. I really wanted to speak that into existence.
And he ends up in your division, which really sucks. So
yeah,
don't worry, I'm on the receiving end of that. You know, the Brewers, the Reds, and the Pirates all seem to have really good drafts, and even the Cardinals have kind of pulled in some too.
Yeah.
Oh, Mets.
What did they do?
Peter Cusell.
Yeah.
Cusell, is that his name?
Actually, I'm not positive. You might be right. You just have to say it with a lot of confidence and roll with that. Apologies, Peter, if you're watching, but I really like you. Wisconsin pick. That's an interesting one. 6'5".
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's interesting because like the arm action was different every single time we saw him, but it's also just like insanely loud stuff as well. So Cusell, if you want to correct us, like Xavier Nyans' mom used to correct us, please do, Peter. It would be fantastic because I really want to know how to pronounce your last name. Pico Cone to the Yankees is a pretty stereotypical Yankees pick, I think. Because they went heavy on arms last year. And this kind of fits their mold of like guys in the later rounds that could possibly start, but I think Pico's probably a reliever at the next level. If anybody wants to disagree with that, feel free and let me know. But I think that's where Pico ends up. Is like he's a guy that's going to give you a discount, but can also be a viable reliever out of the pen. So he's an interesting guy.
Sorry, I disappeared because I'm tweeting out our interviews.
You're just doing advertising here.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Dodgers are going to be a really interesting one here, just because of they're already armed with a little bit less on the cash side. They made some plays yesterday, but I'm very curious what they do after having all night to kind of let Aiden West. Oh man, that's such a good selection.
Ooh, Jonah Rosenthal, buddy. Oh, I love this.
Oh,
actually,
man,
it's not even Jonah.
So
that's not even Jonah, I think, because he's Maryland, but or like Aiden's Maryland and Jonah's Carolinas. But like instant thought, NC State. So Which, by the way, shout out Jordan Rosenthal. He's back at the field this year after having a really big stroke in December. Got to interact with him a few times this year. Fantastic dude. Fantastic dude. So, Jonah, if you're watching this, hope you're doing well, buddy. Can't wait to see you in a couple days out at USA. But yeah, Aiden West, the Dodgers are definitely the team to take a gamble on that. Big physical lefty, tons of tools. I don't see a path where he goes to NC State anymore, to be honest. That's a big loss for Elliott Avon and that crew.
Yeah.
Well,
Future On the Clock podcast guest, Aiden West.
Yeah.
What was that,
and West
Greg?
had some really heavy hitters flying in to the area to see him down the stretch too, from my understanding. Multiple scouting directors, assistant scouting directors, I don't know, VPs, AGMs, and stuff like that. So, he definitely had a lot of really talented evaluators come to see him.
Yeah. By the way, Dixon Williams off the board here with the Braves. That's a money saver. However, they are the one team that would have taken him in this draft. I think Dixon, like I said, there's some whiff rate issues there. The power's good. Gonna stick a shortstop. Like, I think it's a good pick here for them, especially after just taking Bryce McKenzie, 10 picks ago. So I like the strategy here with Atlanta here.
What do you got on this question, Tyler? Where do you all have Trent Caraway going today?
To another school.
Yeah, I think that's real possible.
Yeah.
He, like, I hate to say it, he really just didn't evolve as much as we thought a little bit at Oregon State, and I again, this is another case where I want the guys to succeed. I want them to get paid. It's another decision where he could have gotten paid handsomely out of high school, goes to college, and just hasn't really performed. Granted, he was injured last year, but it's a lot of whiff. There's a lot of power. Might not be a third baseman. We'll see what happens. But my guess at this point is he's likely going to another school in the portal and comes back as a junior for a second go round because he was eligible as a sophomore this year. Also, Gabe Davis to the White Sox.
I like that.
Don't hate it.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Gabe Davis definitely had the value of like a day one guy last year, but just didn't really thrive in the starting role this year, to be honest. But stuff's very good. So I think he's a guy that could do well in that organization, especially with how they've kind of admittedly evolved as a pitching dev team recently.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's been the issue with Oklahoma State for the last few years. It's like they have these guys with big stuff and they just cannot get them to put it all together.
Yeah. Oh, we're going really off the board here. Cam Nelson to the Rockies.
I don't really have anything on Cam.
Undersized guy. I remember he was a two-way guy in high school.
Okay.
But he was more of a hitter at Wake Forest. He's like a Tommy Hawk kind of guy, but I that's a bit of head scratcher for me personally. Like he's definitely an interesting talent though. I won't deny that. Chris Arroyo, by the way, to the Marlins at 139. Big power guy.
Yeah.
He was a two-way guy. Another two-way at Virginia, but I think we've all kind of touched on it before, was Virginia did not hit for power at all this year, and Arroyo was kind of a victim of that. And I just wasn't a big fan of the bat personally, but I think he's definitely viable to see an uptick in stuff moving forward. Oh my God, Angels.
What did they do? Oh, your guy.
DJ Gray. Oh, that's their big pick here.
Yeah.
That's an over slot. He, again, stupidly athletic, tons of arm speed. The fastball is insane. I think he sinks and boards it a lot more too now. But again, another NC State casualty. I'd like to see the secondaries kind of develop more, but you can definitely develop that more easier than what it was 10 years ago. So I like this pick for the Angels. But back to Arroyo, like really good arm, good power. I don't know how much he's going to hit, but again, it's like wonder what happened to Virginia this year to kind of sap the power away from him in terms of total output, and like Henry Ford's the same way. Which, speaking of which, he's not been taken off the board yet. Hey, Jared, it's your boy.
Because he's going to
Tennessee.
That's why Henry Ford hasn't been taken. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Zane Taylor, love this pick. Athletics again, just keep doing it. This is a guy that I saw him against Towson, which take what you want on Towson baseball. I think they won like maybe 15 games this year. But he was mid 90s, topped out at 97. Wasn't getting a ton of swing and miss, so I think you want to see some improvements on how he can kind of generate some more swing and miss. But it's a really, really nice fastball, really good changeup, and then a kind of a low 80s curveball. So, yeah, I think he's a guy who can kind of generate some more spin and be able to get some more of that swing and miss. You're going to really like that pick.
Coy James, there you
There's
go.
our guy,
Nationals.
Washington. This is where they're spending their money, some extra money. It makes a ton of sense. We heard leading up into the draft that this guy Coy James was getting talked about kind of even in the comp round. That's at least what I heard. I don't know about Tyler and Jared, but he's getting talked about, and then all of a sudden didn't hear anything for a couple of days, and that made me think like he's got something lined up. Mm-hmm. So really, the Nationals kind of hedge their bets, right? Like you get Eli Willits at shortstop, you get Coy James, another infielder. Two very different looks at the plate, but you feel pretty good on the talent that you added there. That's 2 first rounders or pretty close to it in my book.
Yeah, I think I had Coy James and Moss 3.0 to the Red Sox at 33, and I pivoted off that at the end of the day, but he was getting a lot of helium in the comp round, and get him in the 5th round is insane value at this point. So like Nationals, this is a really, really good draft. There's Timmy.
Yep.
Going back. He's staying in Canada, boys.
He doesn't need a passport yet.
I love that pick. I saw him in the MLB Draft League. The Canadian junior national team was playing. Big time power, man. Like it's big time power from the left side. So that's fun.
Love this selection by the Pirates. Adonis Guzman, really impressive catcher, a guy that probably wasn't getting the love nationally, maybe. Saw him in Omaha. The defensive actions I thought were pretty good in like the hot Omaha heat. I popped a home run again to me. That was impressive. It was the pull side power. Really like him. I think this is just very good value to get in the 5th round. This is excellent for the Pirates.
Yeah. Guzman's really good. I think I can't remember if I left him out. I think I may have left him off of the board by accident, but he's incredibly talented. So I'm kicking myself on that one. Eli Pitts to the Reds. That's an interesting. Eli is an interesting cat. Like, if I remember correctly, it's right hitter. Let me actually pull up his blurb I had written for him. But outfield type, South Florida commit. I think he's a center fielder long term. Like, it's a great glove. It's very, very good speed. He's got range. And at the plate, he's more of a slasher, but it's like a very linear bat path. There's a ton of hand speed, ton of bat speed. If he gets to lift the ball a little bit, I think there's a lot of value to get out of that. So I don't hate this pick at all from the Reds. Ben Abel is also going to the Rangers. Rangers are having a sneaky good draft in terms of like unique guys and unique profiles. Like AJ Russell having the fastball that he had. Ben Abel, I understand he was injured this year, but very wide release, like Chris Sale-like. I really kind of dig what the Rangers are doing. Getting Josh Owens as well, by the way. I heard he may have been to the Padres at one point. So that's hats off to Texas, man. Texas is doing pretty good.
How long do you think it for this live stream? Go through round 10?
Yeah, we get like an hour break between 10 and 11.
Yeah, so we're definitely.
I'd imagine 11 through 20 is going to be off the rails quick.
Oh, Rays.
This is great by the Rays. This is like such a Rays selection. Just this batted ball, like monster in James Quinn Irons.
You love this pick.
It looks that's just fantastic.
That is exceptional value too. This is a guy that could have even been top 100, and you get him at 147.
Man. Good Cape numbers, I remember as well.
Yeah.
I
think very good Cape numbers.
So.
Yeah. I think there's also another George Mason outfielder, Owen Hole, that I left off the board, but he's a guy that he might go within the next couple of rounds here. He's recently committed to UNC, but like you look at what that George Mason outfield had this year with JQI and then Hole, very underrated on a public scale for both those guys. Christian Fauch, by the way, to the Red Sox, he had like a down year this year a little bit, but it's a big-bodied right-hander from Colorado that touches 100, 101 with a good split. Just not much of a breaking ball, I think. And it's more of like a two-seam heavy sinker kind of fastball, but good reliever for what he is. Wish I had seen him a little bit. I still can't get over JQI at fucking, part of my language. JQI in the 5th round is just so good.
Yeah, I mean it's what the Rays do well, right? Like they just take a guy that frankly has no business being on the board. If you had taken him in the 3rd round, wouldn't have batted an eye. I think a lot of organizations, might look back on that one and say, we probably should have snagged it.
Mm-hmm. By the way, another guy from Tennessee here, Matt Barr, first JUCO guy off the board, if I remember correctly.
This is a good one.
He was committed to Tennessee, so Tennessee really needed arms this year too, for what it's worth, because like all of them left in the portal. But Matthew Barr, up to 99, low slide, kind of cuts it a bit, but really good breaking balls, high spin rates. There's a rumor that like Sherman Johnson may have been the first JUCO off the board, and it would have been to the Twins here. So I wonder if that's another connection to make here in the next couple rounds. But like Matt Barr at this pick is pretty good value. There's Ethan Young.
Nice.
And that's the Cardinals pick. Ethan Young is he was up to like 97, 98. It's a heavy two-seamer, but the slider's fantastic. He has feel for a changeup. He might start. There's a lot to like with that profile. So Ethan Young in the 5th round. Dixon Williams and Ethan Young both went right after Spencer asked about the question. So like, you know your stuff. You know your stuff, Spencer.
What does Spencer know is really what I want to know. He's calling it. Waiting to hear back. Haven't heard back.
Cubs are up.
Yeah. Cade Snell. Okay, that's really interesting. Lefty. I mean, this would be a big slot savings at this point. Cubs still have a lot of money to play with. That might mean they're still trying to push some people down the board, which is really, really interesting. Auburn, yeah, I like it. I mean, Dan Kentrovitz does love him some lefties, by the way, so it doesn't really surprise me. He had a prior experience in the Cape Cod that was really good, so that also really hits well with their market. So
yeah. One thing on Cade Snell, by the way, he is one of the best approaches in college baseball. Does not strike out. Lots of really good contact. I understand he's probably a first base only type. I know they just drafted him as an outfielder, but like I really like Snell for what he is. He's an older guy, really good batted ball data. This definitely makes sense as like a money saving option. Seattle with Corbin Dickerson.
Like that. That's good.
That is insane value at this pick.
Mm-hmm.
Track record was never there, and I think that's what kept him behind Devin Taylor on a few boards this year, especially mine. Like he's only had one good year of production, which was this year because he switched from Louisville to Indiana. But it is insanely toolsy. Power plays to both sides. I think he hit the ball at like 118 this year. He goes backside 107, 110 pretty easily. Can play center field. Like this is a pretty darn good pick for Seattle, and we had him as like a top 75 guy. So
Yeah, he was like 46, wasn't he?
Yeah, I love the value here. Georgie, that's a George pick. Nathan Hall.
There are going to be some folks in a couple organizations that are furious that they didn't get Nathan Hall. By the way, I will just say that he had some fans right around here. So that's a really interesting selection.
Yeah, the one thing I have on Hall that I wish he needs to change is his strength. Like it looks like the bat kind of swings him a little bit sometimes, but insanely good runner, insanely good defender in center field. He's tapped into more power this year. Hit tool is really good. I'm with you. Like this is a guy that people are going to be very frustrated that he's a Arizona Diamondback and not in their stable. Like he's a very good player overall.
Oh yeah, I remember your Nathan Hall video now. I really like that one. That was fun.
Yeah. Just hits the ball on the ground too much. Orioles go Jaden Lurie from Corona del Sol. That's a good pick. I think he's best way to put it. He's a right infielder, kind of like 5'11", 180. There's projection there. It's good bat speed, good contact overall. He has a good approach. Also BYU commit, so it's probably a very easy commit to kind of buy out of as well for Baltimore here. Kind of wonder how much he grows into. He might be a second baseman, but I think Lurie is a very good player in his own right. Brewers again, Sean Episcope from Princeton, which I'm gonna be honest here right now. Episcope may have had the most helium in the first month of the year than anybody else in the country because he was electric before he went down with an injury.
I remember Rekka talking a lot about him too.
Episcope, yeah. It was like it's the fastball wasn't the greatest shape, but he touched 97, 98. Really good breaking ball too. The breaking ball is dynamic. And again, like Mason McConaughey, this is a guy that is injured in the year, has a really good breaking ball, gets picked early. Nick Potter, by the way, to the Astros. One of the harder throwers in the country, actually. Kind of a fastball only guy, but he gotten up to 99, 100. He's in the portal right now, from what I know, and hasn't committed anywhere. And I would imagine him being picked this high, he's not going to go anywhere. So, this is, I would say, a bit of a money saver, but Nick Potter's a good relief profile in his own right.
But we're definitely at the part of the draft too where some of these organizations are just going to take like straight model picks, so if somebody's like popping internally on something, regardless of kind of where they're ranked, like a lot of these don't surprise me. I think we're going to see a few come up here, especially for some of these organizations like Houston and LA and the Mets and a couple others.
Mm-hmm.
Good spot for them.
Connor Essenberg. Okay. Little interesting that we, again, still haven't seen Jack Bauer off the board, and I'd imagine at this point he's going to school.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, Essenberg homered off Bauer at one point this season. Definitely didn't think he would be this high, but like Kentucky commitment, pretty good power from the left side as well. He's a good pick, to be honest, and he's a bit of a sleeper in my opinion. Like I don't think I had him on the board, but he's a guy that I kind of fully expected would have been taken. I just didn't have good enough feel on the profile to put him in the board somewhere. Yeah. So, good on Atlanta. That's a good pick. Aiden Jimenez to KC, by the way, comes from Oregon State, I believe. Got a chance to start this year. Command's really good. Stuff he's been up to like 96, 97. He's got some good breaking balls, but interesting profile. Probably a bit more of a money saver again for KC, but at the same time, there's some value there. He might be able to start for you guys at the next level.
Yeah, this more seems like a money saver pick. The question I was actually going to ask you earlier is, you think they're going to spend most of their $7 million of that first 2 picks on Gamble and Hammond? And I have to imagine so. Like a lot of their pool is going to go there.
Yeah, I totally see it. That again, KC having a phenomenal draft last night.
Yeah, and getting Lombardi and a couple of those other guys, I don't think they're going to save a ton of money with those picks. So they're definitely going to. This is what they did last year too, right? We saw it. They went like college arm after college arm, like junior, seniors, bunch of money savers, and they finally took the Groat in like the 14th round.
Yeah. By the way, Ryan Hall to the Detroit Tigers. He's a projectable right-handed pitcher out of Georgia. There is some helium to him. Georgia Tech commit, good fastball up to 96 with a good breaking ball as well. So that's a good gamble for Ryan Hall there. It's probably going to be a bit of a pretty penny there, but he's a solid arm in his own right, I feel like. And I'm kind of shocked too. Like Cooper Underwood hasn't been off the board yet either for Georgia. So I wonder what his number is coming into this. Ty Harvey to the Padres, by the way. Ty Harvey, very good bat. Bit of a riser late in the cycle. Good power, good adjustability. Pretty good pick for the Padres, I'd say there. I like the value of that. It's about where we had him this year, too.
Someone keeps asking about Mason Pike and River Hamilton. Where do you think they're going?
School.
Yeah, at this point, I was going to say.
I would say at this point, they're probably going to school, which Mason Pike, love him as a two-way. River Hamilton, I think, has one of the best fastballs in the entire, prep scene. But yeah, I think at this point, if they've not been paid, they're going to school.
Yeah.
So, Gabe Craig, by the way, is the pick to the Phillies. Gabe Craig is 24. However, age is not a factor as much as it was a couple years ago. We had, what was the kid's name from UNC last year as a Mariners pick? I can't remember his name. D'Onofrio. He was 24. And Gabe Craig has one of the best sliders in the entire country. It's like up to 89, 15 inches of sweep. Guys can't touch it. Good fastball as well. He's had an interesting journey. He's gone to like 3 different schools. I think he went to JUCO, then went to Baylor. Had some viability to him last year in the bullpen, but then this year was amongst the best relievers in the country. So Gabe Craig's a good pick. I think that's a money saver, but also has some value. It's like an Orion Kirkering kind of guy to take here. So very interesting. I like Craig. So he was a late addition to the board as well. So shout out Phillies.
Riley Nelson.
Oh yeah, look at that.
To the Guardians. Guardians are kind of still saving some money here. They're doing something that they're gonna just like shock everybody.
They're gonna go ham.
Chase Mobley in the 10th round again. Please bring that vibe back.
Is it gonna be like a Cam Appenzeller? Just
Oh my god, if that happens,
So the guy that I'm curious about right now from the prep side, because we're seeing a lot of these SEC, ACC kind of committed preps where, getting a lot of questions from fans or whatever, why hasn't this guy gone? But the answer is likely a big ask in going to school. The guy that I'm really curious about is Matthew Fisher, because, well, I don't want to knock the Big Ten. I would have to say that like an Indiana commit doesn't necessarily scream like massive overslot demands that a team couldn't meet. I imagine his ask is pretty high. He's a guy that I was hearing pretty consistently like in the first round. And hey, I applaud it. Sometimes guys just truly want to go to school, and I respect that. But if there is a possibility of him signing, I guess he's one that I'm a little surprised that a team hasn't popped at this point. So I'm wondering if some of these organizations like Cleveland or a few others, honestly, the Cubs, make a lot of sense where, they could pop him here pretty soon.
Yeah. I would imagine like with the amount of arm speed he has too, like really good breaking ball, he might be a guy to make an immediate impact at Indiana and then ends up in like an SEC school or an ACC school in the next year or two.
Very true.
Yeah. By the way, Peyton Prescott, speaking of ACC, Mets pick here, this kind of fits what the Mets look for in terms of like a low slot, really, really sneaky fastball, but the fastball was hittable because he didn't hide it well. But really good splitter, really good slider. Peyton Prescott, I think, had TJ not too long after the season ended. So he's not going to be pitching immediately for them, but that's a good pick for them, and I think he could start. Is it Core or Corey?
Core? I don't know. I don't know enough about this guy.
I'm going to look into his profile because, again, West Coast is like my weak spot, admittedly, in terms of figuring out some guys because it's just.
It is also very hard to know every single draft prospect for as.
That is quitter talk. So
See, here's the thing. I pride myself in being as good as I can be.
Oh, I know. I know.
Anyways, Jackson, pretty good batted ball data, good contact, doesn't whiff a ton. Maybe has some issues with spin, but really high chase rate, swings nearly 50% of the time. Hit 12 home runs in Utah this year. Kind of an interesting pick. I just think he's too aggressive for my tasting. Just looking at surface level stuff here right now, but that again, this is the Yankees. They will find a way for him to be the next Volpe replacement, if I had to guess. So,
Dodgers gonna Dodger, man. Davion Hickson.
Brian O'Connor is currently weeping.
Yeah.
Davion Hickson is such a fun arm. Even if the command is bad, like he's a fun relief option with the data that he has.
All right. Well, everybody, that was I really appreciate you letting me hop on with you. This is a ton of fun. I'm going to be following the rest of the day, without a doubt, as we kind of lead into round 6 here. But appreciate you both. This is a lot of fun. I'll be watching. But yeah, want to give you a big shout out and really incredible work, Tyler, on site, but also just all year round. Like, I tell folks that I would argue that Just Baseball's draft coverage and rankings is the best publicly available and free ranking system that is out there. That is no disrespect to anybody, and that's no disrespect to anybody who puts theirs behind a paywall. I totally respect it, but I have to admit that the work that Just Baseball does, going 315 deep of like excellent evals, is awesome, and the work that both you and Jared do to kind of hype up college baseball, talk to players, just be an incredible sounding board and a platform. You guys do amazing work. So just want to give a quick shout out because I know it's been a grind and it's going to be a grind, but I think you guys both do an amazing job.
We appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
And we love everything that you do and all the work that you got. It's just incredible to watch the analysis you have on the Cubs and the draft just in general. And we love having you on and just being able to chat ball with you.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I'm looking forward to sometime again soon, but cheers everybody. Good luck the rest of the day.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Have a good day, dude.
Bye.
All right. Now it's just
Greg?
us.
Yep. Greg Zumack, ladies and gentlemen.
Great
Fantastic
dude.
Colby Shelton to the White Sox, by the way.
White Sox still just doing good things. You
Yeah.
have to be happy about it.
I know somebody put out there that Shelton has double his raw power. There was a misread on TrackMan where he hit a ball 118. I think his max is like 113 without the misread, but he found ways to kind of like get the hit tool better this year, but kind of lost some power as well. It was a lot more linear kind of bat path and linear kind of like outcomes in terms of line drives, but it's still a good option. I think he's a third baseman, not a shortstop. Matthew Klein to the Rockies is also really good. He injured his wrist throughout the year, but like he's a guy that's just been mashing as a left-handed hitter. He came back later in the year, did very good down the stretch, and helped that team get to Omaha. And then also Joey Vellini staying in state, going to Miami. Vellini really panned out very well in terms of how Florida State used him this year. Because I think the big gun that they wanted to really succeed was Evan Kress, and Kress just unfortunately didn't really evolve like they wanted him to, whereas Vellini did. And then obviously Kress got hurt, but Vellini was a very good number 2 behind Jamie Arnold, or even sometimes in front. Like they did a good job of developing him. He's a bit of a slow velo guy, like up to 91 max, but like good pitchability, good breaking ball. There's the Angels going off the wall. Luke LaCourse. Spin City, baby.
I love it.
Spin City. Like, Luke LaCourse has some of the highest spin rates in the country. I think he hit 3,300 RPMs routinely on his breaking ball at East Coast Pro last year. Been up to 94, 95. It's a good pick. I think we had LaCourse in this range as well. Just because the field of spin is just innate. It's it really separates him from the rest of the field, amongst his peers. So I like that for the Angels. Angels having an interesting draft even after the Bremner thing last night, where again I don't hate the player, but I kind of it was a bit of head scratcher, and I like to see him develop more.
Yeah.
Well, so far today, like Jake Monroe's a good pick. CJ Gray in the 5th round's good. Luke LaCourse at this pick is pretty good as well. I dig it. By the way, A-State Grant Richardson, Grand Canyon University. This is a guy that
interesting.
He blew out last year before USA. He was invited to USA for collegiate, but interesting fastball. He really changed his breaking ball from like a firm, not like a firm sweeper, but like it was loose shaped. And then he turned into like a hard, firm upper 80s cutter, and the fastball just played well off of it. So he was committed to Mississippi in the portal for what it's worth. So this is definitely a interesting debacle for him. Like, do you choose to go pro or do you choose to go to the SEC? And my gut says he's probably going to go pro. So
yeah, because you kind of look at it, it's like approximate pick value is what, 390K.
Yeah, I would imagine he's getting money a year. Yeah,
going into your senior year, and then if you have a good year, are you going to get that much money?
Yeah,
pro draft wise, I don't know. I doubt it, but senior, you don't have much leverage at that point.
Absolutely. Boston Smith, by the way, going to the Nationals at 171.
I like that.
Firm reminder, by the way, that Boston Smith hit like 20 home runs in the month of May.
Yeah, it was absurd.
And helped that Wright State team upset Vandy in the regional. I don't know how much he kind of pans out to be, but like it's a really good power bat. Likely stays behind home plate. Not a Sean Murphy guy. I know they come from the same school, but like maybe a bit of Sean Murphy light, a little bit. Just to make the lazy comparison there. But he's a good bat overall.
He was in the MLB Draft League, I think, too.
He was,
some time there, yeah.
He went yard in the All-Star game between the Cape and the Draft League as well, I think.
Eric Snow is a Blue Jay.
Peyton Sauer, Mr. Alaska right now.
Yeah.
Eric Snow's fun. I do like Eric Snow quite a bit. He got better this year in terms of power. He had a kind of a down year at South Florida last year. Went to Auburn, and now he's ambushing fastballs. He's got some pop to him. I think he can stay on the left side of the infield. That's a good pick for Toronto. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Interested to see what Pittsburgh does here, because they've gone very prep heavy. I guess they got Carmichael and Adonis, but outside of that, Murph Gray. I forgot they got Murph Gray.
Yep. Ethan Carmichael too.
Mm-hmm. Jack Anchor, Fresno State. They're going back to Fresno.
Oh my God, this is we're going back in time for this pick.
Yeah.
Jack Anchor's a guy that would fit in perfectly as a guy like pitching in the 80s or 90s. Like he throws the kitchen sink at you. He commands it well. Nothing flashes like brilliant, but he is absolutely going to be a guy that just throws a ton of strikes, fills up the zone, back in starter type. You know, I think he was up to like 96 with a fastball, good breaking ball, good changeup, but he throws like 7 pitches at you. So
yeah,
I'm interested to see how that develops. It's a good fit in terms of like the Pirates just do a good job of developing recently.
Yeah.
Braden Oswalt to the Reds. He's an interesting guy. Saw him the other week. Up to 93, 94. Good fastball, good breaking ball, good changeup. Nothing. He didn't have the greatest year this year, unfortunately, but I know he did well in the draft league. So kudos on the Reds for taking him.
Yeah. Just trying to look through on the undrafted guys. A lot of these preps you got to imagine are going to campus at this point. Potentially. Well, I guess it depends if you have like a Guardians who are going to just pay somebody up like a Matthew Fisher.
I still feel like that's the Guardians pick.
What's that?
I still feel like with the Guardians at 10, if they do what they did with Chase Mobley last year, Matthew Fisher is the pick in the 10th round.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good call. Or
Jack
what do you think?
Wheeler.
Who just went?
Jack Wheeler to Texas.
I
don't know much about him.
I guess this is like, what do you think? I mean, guys like Daniel Dickinson, who was pretty high on our board. I got to imagine he still signs regardless. But
Dickinson had such a bad second half.
Yeah.
He really did.
Yeah.
I have asked my my Rangers guy the deets on Jack Wheeler, because that's when I haven't heard his name in a while, but usually if guys are taking this high as a prep, there's something valuable there. So we'll come back to Jack Wheeler here in a little bit once I get some more information.
I do like the Volini pick by the Marlins in this round. Jordan Gottsman, Northeastern, to the Giants. Goatsman, I guess. Gottsman, I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I'm looking at Jack Wheeler right now. Highly projectable, looks like a physical frame. He hit very well on the circuit last year. Yeah, okay. I see the appeal here. I very much see the appeal here. I see the appeal here. Oh my God, Tyler, learn how to speak. Jordan Gottsman, okay. Northeastern, part of that team that really went off the rails towards the end of the year. They won 24 straight or something?
Mm-hmm. That was a fun team, man. Running out of interviews to promote at this point.
Aiden Hawk to Tampa. That's an interesting pick. He was a draft pick by the Twins last year in like the 16th round. Went back to school, and looks like he bet on himself. He does. He goes to the Rays at the 6th round here. So
Love it. We got another guest with us. What up, JD? How are you doing?
What's up, fellas?
What's
How's
up?
it going?
Just slogging through the 4 through 10 here. Almost to the Twins.
The newly expanded day 2 is quite the marathon, huh?
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
We're only making it through 10 rounds.
Okay. Right on.
Because there's I think Tyler said there's an hour break between 10 and 11. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, not used to the new format yet. It was like a 5.5 hour live stream yesterday instead of a 4-hour live stream. It was tough. You guys must be shot today.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was luckily we didn't have to live stream in time, but Tyler was at the whole entire day 1. So
amazing, dude.
See. So Hawk is up to 93. Good changeup, good curveball, has a cutter. Leighton Finley is the pick to Boston, by the way. Interesting guy. It was funny that Leighton Finley delivered the first Georgia Bulldogs outing over 5 innings this year for a team that was ranked top 15 throughout the whole year.
That's wild.
Yeah, he's interesting. Up to 95, good changeup, good breaker. Definitely fits the mold of a guy that goes in this range. He's a performer, though. He's definitely a performer. Twins with Ogbayani.
I like that. How are we feeling, JD?
Dude, I gotta say, I have really enjoyed the Twins' approach today too so far. I mean, Jared, we texted a little bit yesterday about their day 1, but I do think we're seeing something a little bit different from Minnesota in their approach to taking pitching and the type of arms that they're taking, right? If we look back over the last few drafts and the arms that they've had success with, it's often been strike throwing guys that you take out of a smaller college that are going to come into your system and throw 91, 92 mile per hour fastball, and they're going to count on adding velo, shaping those arsenals, and then you get your Zebby Matthews, your David Festas, your kind of mid-rotation starter guys. But if we look at the arms that they've leaned into today so far, they are absolutely targeting velocity more and leaning into just higher octane stuff like Riley Quick, Elwanger. Wrights is obviously just like a giant human with interesting release traits like Barr. They're really starting with a little bit more interesting clay, I think, than some of their last few draft classes. So I do think that's new and different and interesting, and a slightly different approach than we're used to with the Twins.
Yeah. And I felt similar with the Royals last year under Bridges, just seeing them take guys with either a high floor as a pitcher or just have insane underlying data on a fastball, on a slider, just those kind of guys. Like that whole entire run they did until they got Kyle DeGroat was just basically college arms who had an insane fastball or insane sweeper slider.
Yep. Because I think, right, if you and the Royals have really absolutely become a success story of a pitching development org in the last couple of years. But if you look at what the Twins do well, player dev wise, they're one of the best orgs in the majors at adding velo to guys. They do a good job of adding pitches and taking incomplete arsenals and making them into kind of viable back end to mid starters. And so I do think that's an interesting question that we're going to see the answer to in the next few years is what if instead of taking a guy who throws 91 or 92, you take a guy who throws 96, 97 from the jump. So I'm excited to see how some of these guys move, even if, some of them flame out. Maybe Elwang is a reliever.
Yeah.
I love the Quick pick though. I'm pretty high on that one. And Barr in particular feels like a Brewers draft pick, honestly. So
it does. Yeah. The Sherman Johnson thing where I heard there was a JUCO guy being considered there. I definitely was not thinking it would be Barr. Um, and moving off that, like Bruin Agbayani, fantastic pick by the way. In this at this position, he had a very good start to his spring. Um, really valuable guy too. Like he had bloodlines as well. Benny was a big leaguer for a long time,
Hmm.
so you know I really dig that pick. By the way, since you've joined, first off, JD, awesome human being, fantastic scout, knows what he's doing. Secondly, 3 picks off the board since you've joined. Matthew Mura from Hawaii, who was a bit of a helium guy. Um, he's a really good runner, high IQ guy. He's like a Miles Straw guy. Really, really good bat the ball as well. Josiah Hartshorn's also very, very good. Uh, he was a switch hitter, decided to hit lefty. Really good power, big kid, probably an outfielder. And then Lucas Kelly to Seattle. That's a very Seattle pick for what he is. Like low slot up to 99, very flat, has a breaking ball. He's a reliever through and through, but it's like a Charlie Bielenson pick where, um, there's value there. And his fastball is easily the best pitch. And also Sawyer Hawks to Arizona. I'd like this pick a lot more than probably a lot of people. I think Sawyer Hawks is fun. He could really rise quickly. Think he can start. Fastball is up to 97, I do believe. Good cutout shape, but the changeup really excelled this year. His command got better. Good breaking ball. This is the part of the draft where we start to see some of these guys who are relievers that might be starters, and Sawyer Hawks is definitely fitting the bill. So, had to go through his players while we had a chance. But again, JD, awesome dude.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. So let me pitch a question to you guys while the picks are coming in, because I haven't had a chance to pick your brain so far. Couple of your favorite classes so far from what we've seen on, I guess, mostly day one and the beginning of day two. Who are your favorites? I know, Jared, what yours is going to be.
I'm not going to pick the Royals. Don't worry. I was going to say one of my favorite classes is the Diamondbacks. I know Tyler just talked about Sawyer Hawks, but kind of leading with Kason Cunningham, getting that kind of high upside, dreaming on some of what the tools can turn into, and then going on like that run of pitchers of Patrick Forbes, Brian Curley, and Dean Livingston. I really like those three, especially Forbes. I think there's a lot to build on in Forbes. If you can just get him to kind of live in the strike zone, like the stuff already plays. The fastball is just a rocket ship. So I really like what they've done so far, and it's the second year I've really liked what the D-backs have done draft-wise.
Trying to think. First off, I'm going to say this: Milwaukee did it again. Andrew Fisher at 20 is great because I was hammering hard on him being a first round pick this year. I just feel like people were never like fully into it.
And they just got Daniel Dickinson.
Who did?
The Brewers.
Are you?
That's great value there, man.
That is insane value. Again, understand he had a very bad end to his season this year, but still a national champion. This is great value. Also, Orioles got Caden Hunter, who has a really, really good fastball and changeup combo from USC. Guy that he came from JUCO, I do believe, and actually did really well despite the numbers kind of not really saying it. But the fastball is really elite, I think. So he's a guy that could start, but like. Back to Milwaukee, Brady Ebel being a Betances pick, J.D. Thompson's good value. Frank Carone in the supplemental round is really good. Jacob Morrison in the third is fantastic, in my opinion. I love Morrison. And then Flores, Episcope, and now Dickinson. They're being a bit more safe and cautious now, but like it's hard to ignore the upside they have with some of these guys. Carone especially. Carone is like a Bryce Meckage kind of guy where could easily pop and look very, very good in a couple years. Another draft like Pirates really do enjoy their prep guys, Seth Hernandez, Cervantes, Gustavo Melendez is undervalued in my opinion. Dodgers having a very good class as well. If there's another one, it's the Rays. The Rays have really put together a very solid class with, getting Summerhill at 42. Cooper Fleming's great. Peyton Gray in the third is very, very good. JQI in the fifth, by the way.
That's crazy value.
That's insane value. So those are my favorite classes right now.
JD, what about you?
Love it. I'll call out the Royals. I really like what the Royals did on day one. I'm a little behind because I'm in the midst of a work day, so I got to catch up on their day two picks.
They've just been money saving.
Okay. I like the trio of arms the Phillies took. From the jump there, they got Gage Wood at 26, Obermueller at 63, and Bowker at 100. I like those guys, but I agree with y'all as well. I love the Brewers class. I think it's classic. That's 3 years in a row, right? That they've taken Brock Wilken, Blake Burke, and then Andrew Fisher, the exact same kind of tweener power corner infield profile, and then they've loaded up on like fascinating other pieces in the next 4 or 5 rounds. I think they do a masterful job managing their pool and their money. So the Brewers are definitely a highlight for me too.
I love it.
Yeah. By the way, to go back on Jack Wheeler from the Rangers about a round ago, just looked at some of the film, highly projectable, super physical, and from the sounds of it, he's changed his swing. So I would imagine Jack Wheeler is going to be talked about quite a bit here shortly.
Tyreek Kemp out of Baylor.
Tyreek Kemp's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Like Beetleshees out of Arkansas too to Atlanta. That's just Braves are going after pitchers at this point. Like Beetleshees is good slider. Fastball probably doesn't have a ton of value to it, but like he's a good kid. I'm trying to figure out some stuff on this Gable Pentecost kid from Taylor University. If anybody knows what division Taylor is in, please let me know because I would like to kind of dig into this kid a little bit.
Looking into Kemp now, he's very good defensively.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Pentecost been up to 96, 30% whiff rate on the heater, 37% whiff rate on the slider. Curveball is insane. This is a very high upside pick for a guy that, just looking at the film here, kind of like a interesting guy to look into. He's NAIA, by the way, that I just realized. Like a low slot, longer arm action, and dive into him a little bit more. But this definitely looks like the kind of guy that would have like a flat approach angle on his fastball to kind of help him a little bit. Grayson Grinsell, Detroit, by the way, stereotypical predictable lefty that he's got a good track record as well.
Most frustrating lefty I saw all year long. He walked like 8 guys and then still gave up like 1 run. I remember watching that entire outing and I'm like, it's fine. It's like 86 to 88. Got a couple 90s here and there. Usually he lives in the strike zone, but he had like walk 6 in that game and Maryland was doing nothing and still lost.
Wow. By the way, Jackson Delana, this is an interesting one. Goes to Shippensburg University. Started his career at Monmouth, by the way. He's a 4th-year guy. And across a small sample, looks like just 1 start. Fastball up to 95, good cutter, good curveball. Looks like a guy that's probably a reliever. If I had to guess, I'm going to look at some film here. But long levers. Yeah, it's a short strider, short extension. Some effort to him. I think it's like a steeper-ish fastball, but good-looking slider as well. So that's the rundown in Delana there. Philly State James Talon. That's a really good pick. I like James Talon. He's very flexible, very unique, very long arm action, but the fastball plays, good breaking ball. He's a relief profile. They tried to start him this year. It didn't really work out for Duke, but Talon's he's a good kid. He's a good kid.
feel like they're kind of slogging through these rounds here.
A little bit.
Usually they're faster at this point. Approaching like an hour and a half for I guess 3 rounds at this point.
Yesterday was so brutal. The first
Yeah.
15 picks, the amount of time they
Yeah.
take to let the TV coverage catch up with everything. Oh man.
Tyler, wrong one. Do you know the answer to this question? Do you know the draft signing deadline this year?
Let me see what it was last year real quick. I don't know specifically off the top of my head. I want to say last year was August 1st. I could be wrong on that.
Nelson Keljo to the Guardians at 192.
So last year is actually July 25th was the signing deadline. And looking into it, not quite sure. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to text Carlos Collazo real quick, get an answer, and I'll get back to you on that. But it might be July 25th again. So give me 1 second to ask that question.
I like that Keljo pick to the Guardians, JD. That's just one other one. What do you think? He'll probably go for slot value there?
Yeah, I would think so. I'm glad we're talking about the Guardians real quick because I'm so fascinated by their draft so far. Right, like I've always associated them with these high contact, like discipline approach in the box type profiles. And then this year we've got Jace Laviolette, Dean Curley, Nolan Schubert. These just a lot of their hitter picks this year just seem a little bit discrepant with what they've done the past few years. I'd love you guys' take on that because I guess Jace to the Guardians was not what I had on my bingo card yesterday. Although I guess I don't know what my expectations were, but they definitely seem to have leaned into some bigger power profiles this year.
Yeah, like Jason Nolan Schubart are 2 guys I would not have had
Right.
going to the Guardians. Like Dean Curley kind of makes sense. Like
For sure.
That seems like a prototypical guy. And Tyler, I don't know. Do you know Aaron Walton? Was he more of a contact first? But he had some swing and miss too, right?
He has some swing and miss to him, but it's a guy that can stick at center field, has some good power to him. Definitely a linear bat path, and I would like to see him lift the ball more. But Walton was definitely undervalued on the public scale, and I think even us, like we had him in like the 120s.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like he's a guy that is definitely an interesting cat. Like he's not overly speedy for center field, but he gets incredible reads, really good range. Fucking L Dodgers. Are we okay? So kind of recap what's happened since the Keljo pick, by the way. Nathan Hall, D2, Central Missouri, flat fastball. So that kind of fits what the Mets were looking for. That's a Mets pick. Rory Fox is a good pick to the Yankees. Saw him at the ACC tournament, up to 96. Good breaking ball, good changeup, good pitchability. But Mason Lagenza in the 6th round to the Dodgers, man. Holy hell. They are having a fucking draft. Pardon the language, but like.
And you think about their development side of things, and you're just like, watch all these guys go there, and you're like, cool.
Yeah, we're sitting here. It's like, yeah, this is a guy that's going to be hitting like 20 tanks next year.
Yeah.
God.
Back to the Guardians, though, JD. Like the Laviolette one kind of shocked me because I did hear some rumors that the Royals really liked Jace, which kind of makes sense. They now seem to like those high like EVs, and I've heard that they really like focus on exit velocity in some sense when they're kind of finalizing players. But I wonder if that was more smoke because they really want to gamble in Hammond in those 2 picks.
I love that one too for the Royals. Yeah, I'll be fascinated to see how Guardians' new power bats do next year. There's definitely some volatility there with a couple of those guys. Man, Dodgers class. Root, Davilan, Leiter, Viderick, West. Davion Hickson, Laganza
It's so much fun.
through their first 7
this
picks.
Dodgers class is just so good.
I love Devlin. I really do. I think that's like one of my favorite bats in this class. Just because it's so polished. Like it's nothing super sexy, but it's just like he's such a good hitter. And you put him in that organization, and if they can tap into some more power with him, like that's going to be a fun time for them. What are your thoughts on Root, Tyler?
Fastball is kind of nondescript. Like it's a ground ball machine, little two-seamer, doesn't have a ton of value, but he's been up to 99. But the breaking balls and the changeup are they're high upside. They're very good. I think if he ends up pitching more off of those, and the fastball is more of like a setup pitch, where he's like locating it well, sets up the breaking balls to get swing and miss. I think that's the route they take. And I think the secondaries are advanced enough to where he's got success at the next level.
Muted. Are they starting the 7th, or are they taking a break?
There's a bit of a break by the looks of it, but we'll be back going here in a minute. Yeah, this Dodgers class, man. Oh my God, I'm trying not to curse as much as possible, and that just shocked me when I saw who it was.
That's what the people want to see, Tyler. Is
They want to see off the rail, Tyler.
they want to see off the rail, Tyler. Who's
Yeah.
excited about draft classes and insane value.
It's how you get the clicks and the views. You just go crazy.
Right.
Here's what I need to do. I need to call out Jared Carabas more for stealing her content this morning.
It doesn't quote tweet.
No more comment on him.
Tyler's favorite person.
There's always a few.
Yeah.
He never acknowledged DM the other year, or you took took film from us, and he does it again. Like, come on, man. It's not hard to credit. It really isn't.
Just looking at the preps on the board still, you got, like you said, Jack Bauer, Matthew Fisher, Cameron Appenzeller, Brock Sell, Lucas Franco. But we know Franco's going back to campus, or going to back to campus. He's going to campus. Braden Jaska. I like some of these names, but it seems like a lot are going to be.
Seems like long shots for most of those guys at this point, right?
College guys, I mean, if you're less worried about the Jared Spencer injury, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's super fun. That was such a bummer. That was such a bummer, man. Yeah. For a guy his age to be just having such an awesome season and go down. I mean, he had no margin for error. That was so unfortunate.
Yeah.
By the way, more on Nathan Hall, the Mets pick. He had internal brace, I do believe, like 3 months ago. So not Dodgers, but Mets also taking a strategy from the Rangers where you take like injured arms with upside and in unique traits. So kind of dig that. Kind of do. Like Peyton Prescott had TJ again, like right after the season ended. And then obviously now Nathan Hall, where it's like this interesting, unique flat approach angle fastball with velocity, and has been hurt. But again, TJ internal brace is not the death sentence for pitchers anymore. So I dig it.
We got a question here from some guy named Peter Apple. Who's winning the draft, and why is it the Yankees?
Yankees are having a pretty good draft, man. They are. Let me see if I could bring up the full feel for them. I liked Dax Kilby last night. I thought that was a really decent
Rory
pick.
Fox now too.
Rory Fox is good value here. Caden Kent, interesting. Obviously Jeff Kent's son, but I liked him. He was enough to put him on my board. Pico Cone, I think, is a reliever, but I think honestly, like if there's a guy that the Yankees can turn into a starter, it's probably Pico. They've shown it with Griffin Herring. Like Griffin Herring was a relief option at LSU. Now he's one of the best starters in their organization. And then Corey Jackson touched on it. Pretty aggressive, good power, pretty good hit tool as well. There are some outlier concerns I've heard with him now I've been able to kind of dive into it more. And by outlier, I mean like makeup or anything like that. But we'll see what happens with that one. But other than that, like it's a decent draft class for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Tyler, while we're on a break here, I got to ask you a question about a guy before I hop off here.
Okay.
I was ecstatic to see the Mets take Voit yesterday, and I feel like he was one of your draft crushes. And we put him up on one of those guys who should be higher on boards articles. It was good to have that affirmation. What do you think of that pick for the Mets?
I really dig it. And I think I spent the last like week and a half really hammering home that Mitch Voit is a fantastic prospect now. Because he had arm surgery in the offseason, so he ditched pitching. And he really cut down the aggressiveness this year. Like the K rate dropped to 13% from 23. Walk rate nearly doubled from 8.6 to 15.5. Handled velocity better. He's putting the ball in the air more. There's more power. He hit 115 at one point. I just fully think that the bat has finally turned the corner. And that's the selling point. He might be a bit positionless. Like he's played third base, second base, first base. He's been all over the place for Michigan. But I think he's a second baseman. He's just, again, the bat is a selling point for me. And the bat just really improved this year. And again, he was like one of the guys later on in the year that like started to get a lot of helium. But looking into the deep data and kind of diving into it, it's fantastic pickup for the Mets for a guy that dropped his K rate as much as he did, and also just walked at an insane rate compared to what he was a year ago.
Yeah. I love that pick. I just wanted to give you a chance to wax lyrical on Mitch Voit for a second. Thank you guys for having me. I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, JD, thanks for joining, man. And we love having you on the draft team. All the work you've been doing this year has been awesome. It's been just huge for Just Baseball and all of us, and for the fans to get an idea of some of these guys.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Looking forward to the next cycle, boys. Good luck the rest of the stream.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, man.
How much longer do you want to go, Tyler? What do you think?
We'll go to the end of the 10th round,
10.
I think.
Do they start the 7th yet, or are they still?
I think we're still doing a break, like a small 10-minute break, I do believe.
Come on, MLB, hurry up.
Oh, it's a minute, 1:09 p.m.
1:09. They're starting with a random time. Are they starting at 1:10?
1:09, 1:10, yeah.
It says 1:08 on my clock, so I was like, what are we talking about? Do you have a favorite pick so far on this day?
JQI for sure.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. Getting him at that value, man. That was.
You gotta love that, man. I like the Mason Nevo pick by the Reds.
Yeah.
I
dug it. I really did.
I think the reason why I really like guys like that and Corbin Dickerson is because it's like those are both guys who really struggled to kind of find their footing in college baseball and just had a massive breakout. And that's probably part of the reason why they fell as far as they did, because you have like that 1 year sample size. But just being able to see guys like that to go through those struggles, have to overcome that adversity, and then just get drafted is just cool to see.
Yeah. Also, if Ellie's still in here, Sussman, I think his name was, just got a text back from Carlos on the signing deadline. He believes it's August 1st, but he's going to work to confirm that. So we've got leeway there. We've got something figured out. But I'll get an agile answer from Carlos here in a little bit.
Yeah. Joe's tweet: the Los Angeles Dodgers are having a very fun draft.
Very fun. It's an understatement.
Yeah. Good times. I want to see who the Guardians are going to take in this 10th round. That's like what I'm waiting around for at this point.
There's gonna be some funky stuff. Anthony DePino, first pick off the board. I think he's one of your guys. Yeah, Rhode Island.
Yep. The Rams. We got it. Do we have it here?
Do you have the hat?
We got it. We got it.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Now, if they can be good again next year and find pitching, that'd be great.
Hey, that one guy threw 10 innings against Oregon.
He did. He's playing in the MLB Draft League, too.
Hell yeah. So, yeah, looking more into DePino, hammers the baseball. He was older. I think he was like 22 and 4. But it's still a college performer, a good senior sign.
Yeah.
I dig that for the White Sox, especially considering they probably do have to save a little bit.
Yeah, you get a good money saver there. I feel like I'm guaranteeing that the Royals are going to get another money saver at this point. Ooh, Rockies, Antoine Jean.
Firm reminder, again, age is not a deterrent now as much as it was a couple years ago. Antoine Jean turns 24 in about a month or so. One Big 12 pitcher of the year over Tommy Laporte, which I was a little confused on that one, but looking into it, like the numbers were really impressive. Had a K rate of like 40%, wasn't walking guys. He wasn't, I don't even think he was a starter this year. He was like a unique like swingman kind of deal where he still had over 100 strikeouts, but still won the award despite having like 50 innings pitched or something like that. So he's a good guy. Like the fastball gets up to like 97, 2 really good breaking balls. Yeah, I do like this for Colorado.
Yeah, that's a fun pick. You always worry about arms going to Colorado, but they have to draft them still. So,
by the way, Jake Clement, that is this year's Brandon Neely. I like that pick. Really, really good fastball. Slider's gotten better. Still not the greatest from what I remember. Like in high school when I saw him at HSI, it was like a 40, 45 slider. But he's gotten better. The fastball is really a selling point there. It's really good metrically. Ton to carry, low slot, flat approach angle. It's a lot of stuff that you look for in a guy for success. And fastball success is really valuable at the big league level. So, again, that's a good pick for Miami. I don't know if he starts, but he's probably a reliever. But, again, fastball quality, go Burr.
Yeah, that's 4 out of 7 picks from Florida schools by the Marlins.
Homegrown, baby.
Yep. I think they got 2 Florida State, 2 Florida. Did they?
Yeah. Angels taking Lucas Malstad. Okay.
I feel like we're going to see a lot of like older college guys this round.
Yeah, we are. Malstad I think he came from Wofford, went to Clemson, was their closer not only last year, but this year, where he commands his breaking ball so well at the bottom of the zone that guys just have no idea what to do with it. And for what he is, low slot sinker breaking ball guy, has a good changeup, probably doesn't start, he's a reliever, but it's money savings for the Angels at this point with the amount of upside they have ahead of this. And I don't hate the value here. I think Malstad, again, was one of the best relievers in college baseball this past year. With Gabe Craig being a 5th or 6th round pick, this is a guy that rises pretty quickly. Oakland A's. Yeah, they're not in Oakland anymore, Tyler.
I keep saying that over and over again.
Pick number 200, Logan Salve from West Virginia.
I like that.
That's great value at this pick.
Yeah.
He rose up pretty high for us late in the cycle. Had him. Oh, where did I have him? Let me find. Had him at 139 on our board. And the big selling point on him was he was eligible last year, went back to school. Man, the approach is so pull heavy. And that's I've been on record saying this, one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable batted ball event is a pull fly ball.
Yeah.
That is what Logan Salve is good at. It's really good in zone contact as well. He's grown into average power. And he can handle a pitching staff. He's a good leader, great athleticism. There's a lot to like with him going into the draft, and I think this is a very good value deal for the Athletics.
Yeah. I dig it.
Julian Tongini from Arizona. I dig that pick.
I don't know much about him. Break him down for me.
Let me bring up his data here. But from what I recall, up to 96, 97. And he has a really good breaking ball too. Let me see if I can find. So like here's this development path, by the way. Goes from Boston College for 2 years, Indiana, now at Arizona. So he's a senior. Fastball up to 90, 96, sat 94 throughout the year, 31% whiff rate on the fastball. Curveball, slider are really good in the mid 80s. Both have really high whiff rates, and it's a tight shape, really good sweeper. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. I love it.
Dylan Watts. Dylan Watts is another guy I considered for the board. Again, Peyton Sauer, wish you were here, buddy, because you would have a breakdown of Dylan Watts already ready on a Adobe PowerPoint at this point. But big thing with Dylan Watts, really, really, really good breaking ball. Mid-80s slider, 53% whiff rate, average 95 on the heater as well. I think he touched 99 at one point this year. Has feel for a changeup. He might start. I'm not sure. Kind of looking at what the delivery is. A bit iffy on whether he should start because it's a bit of a short stride, but it's not efforty. So if they can get him into his lower half more, I think there's something to really grasp from there in terms of like a starting role. Brent Iredale,
I like this one.
I'm not talking in Aussie accent the rest of this pick, but Brent Iredale, man, mashes baseballs, really does.
Hits them far.
Hits them far, hits them long.
Are you still trying the Australian accent?
Yes, I am, mate. It's not good, but I'm trying. He's very much a very powerful bat, can handle third base. Some swing and miss, but like the power is the selling point there. And again, I just love that he's in Aussie. Justin Henschel. He was a guy that really popped early. And going against Georgia, he blew out. But he didn't allow a run across like his first two starts. Very lanky, very wiry, up to 96 with a decent breaking, or not a decent breaking ball, but a decent fastball. Really good breaking ball and had feel for a changeup. I thought he was really going to really go up boards if he stayed healthy all year, but he blew out super early. But now we're getting to the point where guys are taking flyers on injured guys with good stuff, and Henschel definitely fits that bill. I thought he would have been a Texas Ranger here with the next pick. So good pull from Cincy.
We got 64 analytics in the chat. So we're the best draft duo on the interwebs.
Hi, Jason. How are you, buddy?
He did a breakdown of through 6 rounds, 137 of the 195 went to college.
Paxton Kling, Texas Ranger.
I like that one. Toolsy.
Yeah. The big thing with Kling was going back home really helped him get more confident. I just don't think with all the expectations he had at LSU, it was really tough on him specifically. And of course, he was drafted as a sophomore last year. Goes home, good runner, good athlete in center field. good power as well. I think the hit tool is a bit shaky at times, but he performs well. And like this is a good gamble from Texas. I think
Yeah.
Kling is a pretty solid prospect.
When I saw him, he struggled a little bit with velo up in the zone. But that could have been just that day.
Let me look into that for you, sir. Cam Maldonado to the Giants. That's a good pick right there.
Rekka's getting all his Northeast guys on the Giants. They took Trevor Cohen too.
Mm-hmm. So while I'm looking at the clean thing, Maldonado, close stance, good power, field to hit, probably a corner outfielder. He's very physical. Definitely the best way to describe him in that fashion. But again, it's a pretty valuable pick where he is right there.
And then this just confirms that the Giants are subscribed to the Northeast Draft Guide.
Okay. By the way, have got a confirmed date if Ellie is still in here. July 28th is the signing deadline. So looking at Kling here, yeah, high fastball is an issue.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yeah, which makes sense. He's a guy that put the ball in the air 35% of the time this year.
Yeah.
So uphill swing definitely hampers his effect to kind of like do anything against elevated velocity, but I think that can be worked out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jacob Kuhn, Midland College to the Rays. JUCO.
Yep. That's JUCO pick. Let me see what I can find on Kuhn here. Good fastball, good curveball. Feel for a changeup. Only got one start here, but like average 92.3 on it with an upper 70s curveball. 17 swings and misses, up to 95. Let me see some film here. Yeah, that is very Landon Harmon-esque in how he delivers the baseball to the plate. Has probably some cut to the fastball as well. Feel of spin. It's very Landon Harmon-esque is probably the best way to put it. But obviously, like JUCO, a bit older. Go from there. That's just like very lazy surface level observations on that, but that's like the vibe I get from just watching like two pitches just now. So, Miles Patton,
a Red Sox. I was gonna say he'd be another Texas A&M to the Red Sox, but didn't play with Brandon Montgomery, and Brandon Montgomery got traded. So,
yeah, Patton's interesting. A very interesting guy. Is like throws to catch a sting at you again. Low velo, kind of like Quinn Matthews-esque when he was in college. But do I think he kind of turns into Quinn Matthews now? Probably not. But never say never. He's a good athlete too. Like only gets up to 92, but good breaking balls, good changeup. Jacob McCombs to the Twins is actually kind of sneaky good.
I like that. That's good value there too.
Absolutely. McCombs was a guy that like he went up to the Cape as well to kind of help his value a little bit. But San Diego State transfer to UC Irvine, draft eligible sophomore, doesn't swing and miss at all. Like hammers fastballs, there's power there to the pull side, very aggressive, swings over half the time. And there's some issues against changeups, obviously, with being that aggressive, but 12% fastball whiff rate, good ground ball rate. It's like 39% with a good line drive and fly ball rate. Pull side prowess. I dig it. I just wish the aggressiveness would come down a little bit, but it's a good bat to take here. Peyton Graham to the Cardinals. That's a Cardinals pick.
Yeah. I dig
Again,
it.
Another injured pitching arm, but Peyton Graham is he had a very loud summer up to 98 with a really good slider and changeup. Yeah, I don't hate this. I think he only got one start this year though. I could be wrong. Let me double check on that just to be on the safe side and not get grilled by anybody here. Yeah, he only had one start this year, but he also went 5 shutout with 7 strikeouts, 2 hits allowed, 2 walks. So
Pretty good.
he was definitely in line to have a big year. There goes Coppola.
I forgot about him and the injury. He fell off my radar completely.
Man, again, that's another case of like kinda was unfortunately injured a lot of the time in college. Like didn't really see mound time until last year, but very talented, very crossfiery, huge angle to the plate, good breaking ball, good fastball. I think he if he gets the right fit, which I think the Cubs are a good fit for him, he can succeed. So I'm not gonna. He's not guy to write off at all. So yeah, he's interesting. By the way, Peyton Graham also had TJ in April. I just learned. So.
Oh, okay.
So just heads up on that one, Cardinals fans. But again, really, really good value in my opinion.
Colton Shaw out of Yale.
Oh, we have Yale kids. Let's go.
Getting into the Ivies.
Looks like a first baseman. Is that what he got drafted as a pitcher?
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Never mind. That's why he hasn't hit in 2 years.
Oh.
I'm a dum-dum. Dum-dum, give me gum-gum.
No.
If anybody gets that reference, you had a childhood.
That's what you said in one of your articles too. And
Yeah,
I didn't get your reference, so I didn't have a good childhood.
Oh my God. I had a feeling that may have been a harder reference for some people to get. But if anybody remembers Ice Age, the original Ice Age, where they were fighting the dodos for the watermelons, that reference is the last melon. That's the reference. And then like Sid the Sloth goes ham and like NFL style on the dodos. So that was the reference. I was losing my mind that I had a friend of mine. She's in Europe right now. She was like, "Wait, I don't get this reference." I'm like, "Oh my God, you're about to be cultured. Like I am culturing you."
You're about to really love the Diamondbacks draft, I feel like.
Yeah. By the way, Colton shot up to 96, cutter, curveball, slider. Good changeup as well. So putting it out there, Joe Arriola that's a Georgie pick.
Yeah.
Shout out George. Joe Arriola, fantastic stuff. Likely reliever because command's not been good.
Mm-hmm. Hunter Allen, Ashland University.
D2 guy.
Senior.
Yeah. Up to 99 with the fastball, may have touched 100. Really good breaking ball. Relief option. But he was a guy we had on the board for the 300, but then I dropped him for 315 because I wasn't sure how it was going to go. But he's a D2 kid. Really, really loud 2-pitch mix. So that's another one I'm going to be kicking myself for.
What draft content do you have planned the rest of the day?
I know we're going to go out and go to Cards HQ here at the house, but going to try and get some, like, especially with you guys, like the draft crew, Get some like superlatives out there. Hopefully have that out tomorrow for like the whole draft instead of just day 1 or day 2, etc. And then get some stuff from like Aram and the guys here. You get to hear Elijah talk about how much he loves the White Sox draft right now.
It's a very happy guy.
Yes, he is. He was ecstatic about Fauske last night for what it's worth.
Carlson Fauske is a great 1-2 punch.
Yes, it is. It really is. By the way, Josiah Ragsdale to Milwaukee. That's an interesting fit because Ragsdale's swing was admittedly not the greatest at Boston College, but the tools are there. Can play center field, good hit tool, good power. Would like to see everything kind of refine a bit, and Brewers will do that probably. So good pick. Good pick.
Astros, Braves, Royals, Tigers. This will be a fun run. I was kind of looking into DePino's data, and it's kind of nutty.
Very good.
Pull side, but he mashes inside pitches.
Over slot deal, Jace Mitchell to the Astros. That's a really good pick. This is roughly where I expected him to go a little bit. Jace Mitchell was, drum roll please, 219 on the big board. He goes at 216.
It's pretty good. Not saying Tyler called it or nothing, but kind of called it.
Yeah. But long story short, he was like a very physical, very athletic left-handed bat, really good swing. I think he's both a hitter and a power guy as well. So like very valuable. He had a lot of helium late, and good defender behind the plate too. So I dig this for Houston. Probably an overslot pick, but again, this is a good value pick for them.
I kind of love this pick by the Braves. Zach Royce from UTSA.
That's a Brewers, or sorry, that's a Braves pick.
Yeah.
Trying to think. He nondescript fastball. However, the slider is really good. The slider is really, really good. Probably a reliever, short strider, but hey, is what it is. Like I think he's got some value to him, and it's a good fit with the Braves.
Miles Upchurch just tweeted out Alabama, so I'm assuming that he is not going in the draft and he's heading to campus.
That would make sense. Landon Schaefer is going to campus as well.
Bryson Dudley heading to the Royals.
Texas State pitcher.
I don't know much about Bryson, admittedly.
Came from Glenn University, went to Texas State this year. Mainly fastball slider combo. Up to 96. Mid 80s cutter sometimes with the slider. Kind of looking at some film here. Definitely an interesting guy. Has some downhill angle to him on the fastball. Good slider too. Yeah, this is a good 2-pitch duo right there. That's a good senior sign for them, or not senior, but like a interesting sign for them.
Yeah.
Kale Witwiska.
I'm also just taking what you said and putting it into a tweet and crediting you. So
that's fine. Cole Witwiska, JUCO kid by the looks of it. Northern Oklahoma College in Enid. Doesn't say what he's been picked as, which is interesting. However, he was committed to DBU at one point. Outfielder, right-hand pitcher, so it's either one of those two. Has been up to 95 in the past.
Ooh, Padres, Carrington Cross.
Of course they would. That's yeah. That's a good pick. That's a really
Yeah.
good pick, actually. Yeah, I don't know how to value Whisker. I'm going to have to learn a little bit more about, but that's an interesting one. But Carrington Cross, again, we talk about pull side prowess. That is Carrington Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Pull side, lifts the ball. Exceptional defender at third base, by the way. This is really good value for the Padres. And certainly feels like one of my favorite picks of this round at least. So good pick, Padres. Good pick.
I'm just preparing myself for the Royals to go completely money savers the rest of these today, or the rest through 10 at least. Ooh, Phillies Matthew Fisher.
Oh my God, Philly! Oh,
what a pick!
That's a good pick.
Yeah,
I'm not like Fisher was at minimum comp round value for me. This is man, if they get him to sign, which I don't think an Indiana commitment is gonna take a lot to sign him out of, but man, that's good.
I mean, they went all college guys up until Fisher, so I'm wondering if they're going to save some money throughout. Yeah, they
They
took
100% are.
like Obermueller is probably going to save them a little bit. Yeah, like Cody Boker, Gabe Craig, like those guys are going to save them some money. Good for them. I'm jealous. That's a fun pick. Someone asked, does the FSU have the most players selected? Marlins got 3 of them.
Probably. I'll have to do a head count at the end of the day here, but Florida State does have a pretty comfortable amount of guys that have been taken. Will McCausland, by the way, at Cleveland, good pick. Really visible fastball. He struck out 8 when we saw him at Shriners, and I looked back at the film, and it was pretty disgusting. So McCausland's interesting. Has a good cutter. Has feel for changeup. He might be able to start, but I think he's a reliever. But if there's any team that's going to turn him into a dominant reliever, it's Cleveland. So
yeah. Shane Sado's for foregoing any further draft negotiations and is returning to Texas A&M.
That tracks.
Yep. Injured. Didn't pitch at all.
Cam Tilley.
There it is. We need Peyton on this podcast today.
We would have said something very bad if Peyton was on here. However, Cam Tilley is impressive. Like I've loved him for a little bit. Dropped eligible sophomore. Been up to 97. Good fastball. I think the breaking ball is a real difference maker. He's got feel for a really good changeup. The breaking ball has been spun at like 3K spin, mid 80s. He got a chance to start this year. Didn't really make the most of it. The command was really lacking a few times throughout the year. So he's an interesting guy to kind of take here. Again, another Mets arm. But again, the Mets have done a sneaky good job of developing arms recently. I think this is like a place where Cam Tilley can really succeed. So I kind of dig it for what it is. But he's more of a work in progress than we want to admit on that one.
Yankees took my guy, Richie Bonamolo.
That's a good pick.
I love that pick. Shout out Peter. Yankees best draft.
Yeah. True center field prospect. Really good bat speed. He has feel to lift and pull the baseball. It's good. I do enjoy that one quite a bit. Not really a late riser per se, but like we caught on to him pretty late and we pushed him up pretty quick as a result. But again, he's on the board. He's a great kid, and like I think I had him up in the top 200 somewhere. So like good value for what he is.
Like I knew who he was, but then I watched him in the SEC tournament and I was like, who is this guy? This is insane watching him.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. It's impressive.
There we go. Mason Estrada to the Dodgers.
Joe Doyle has tweeted out, "I can add a bit of more color to this report. Spoke to a couple teams about Sado this morning. He turned down a lot of money in the draft to return to College Station."
He's getting good NIL from
Yeah.
them probably.
Ah, the MIT guy. Off the board to the Dodgers.
Yeah. For what
like
it's worth, Shane, like, kind of touching on it there. I love the stuff as a sophomore. I thought he had a good case to do well, but then he blew out against Oregon in Supers, and then had TJ in September. So I wouldn't be shocked after the Ryan Prager precedent we had a year ago that he's gotten a pretty significant sum of cash in NIL from A&M to stay. And I had talked about it for a while. How does NIL affect what these kids do, especially from A&M after what happened last year? And here we are.
I'm gonna let you take it away solo for a second. I just gotta get some water.
Okay. Talking about Mason Estrada, he was planning to go to Tennessee. Obviously not going to get there. Good fastball and good slider as well. Obviously MIT doesn't produce a lot of guys, but let me tell you, the way that Connor Dorney talked about the way that Estrada presented himself in the interview we had with him at the draft combine, it's really impressive. He talks like he's 35. It's really impressive. This is a kid that is going to do good and probably create some like weird acronym for his sweeper and whatnot. If we want to say that, just to joke around. But Estrada is a good pickup for the Dodgers. Kind of fits their mold pretty well. Blaine Wink going to the White Sox is a pretty good pick. Primary reliever, good fastball, good breaking ball. Should rise pretty quickly in that system. And now Tanner Thack just got taken, who didn't have the greatest year this year. The swing kind of changed. A lot of ground balls. Wasn't hitting the ball in the air a ton. Pretty aggressive guy, but pull side power prowess. Going to be a first base type in the portal right now. Probably going to be a tough decision to make here with the Rockies because the power does play in Colorado. But with Tanner, I struggled a lot with him because I just felt like it was too aggressive, and the power, as good as it was, I felt like the swing was due for a bit of a change. He got the change, it didn't really pan out well. So I'm interested to see if Colorado goes back to the old prowess where he's just really hammering the baseball in the air and going from there. And the Marlins just picked up Emilio Barrios from GCU. He whiffed only on like 20 pitches all year. Really, really, really good contact skills. Kind of interested to see where he plays. He might be a shortstop, might be a second baseman. Not a ton of power, but he's definitely a guy that's going to be contact oriented moving forward. So I kind of did that pick for the Marlins. Isaiah Jackson to the Angels. That's an interesting pick. Jackson's tools up as all hell. He was one of the first, like, as we started getting into this class, he was very high up on people's boards, but just didn't really evolve. The hit tool was kind of a question mark. Really good athlete, really good power. The hit tool got better slightly, not a ton of a difference, but like this is a guy that's got legitimate tools and could very well be a fantastic player in this Angels system. If everything kind of works out right with the upside that he has, but this is definitely an upside gamble. Really dig it as well though for Jackson. He's a again fairly good athlete, really good raw power. Interested to see what happens moving forward for him. do have box to base question as well. Might as well answer this while we're here. Anyone that's surprised or is surprising that has not been drafted yet? I think the biggest surprise to me, at least, kind of looking through here, I'd say Jack Bauer a little bit. And the only reason why I say that is because with him, it's the kind of profile you see get taken now. And if he goes to college, it's not the greatest look for him. Anyways, going back to that, like Bauer probably should have taken money here because I feel like he's the kind of guy like, yes, he throws 103 and it's a revamped arsenal, but he also is just throwing with more intent. There's not really a big kind of change with him, and command's been iffy. So I just wonder how successful he is at the college level. But again, hard to ignore 102, 103 from the left side to where like yeah, I figured he would have been paid in at least the comp round, if not second round. But like that's just me sitting here and rambling. He's like the top available guy on the board still, unless it's Appenzeller, which Appenzeller is still available. But I had a feeling that he may have been going to campus anyways. So that's my 2 cents on that one. Going through the rest of these, Riley Maddox is a good pick. He's a good pitchability right-hander from Ole Miss. And Corey Braun, gonna have to dive into him a little bit here. And perfect timing because Jared is back.
What's going on? How happy is our ASU enjoyer friend in the Discord now that Isaiah Jackson's off the board? I know it's not King and Fu, but it is.
King and Fu hasn't been taken yet, so yeah. Corey Braun pitched at Charleston Southern in 22. Didn't pitch for 2 years until this year at South Florida. And if I remember correctly, he performed very well. It's a left-handed profile, if I remember correctly. Yep, lefty. Fastball heavy, big chase rates. Really got up to 94 with a good breaking ball and a good changeup. So that's the spiel on Corey Braun. Danny Thompson Jr. now being taken by the Blue Jays. That's a bit of a money saver.
Spencer Scott's asking if do you think is Tanner Thatch going to sign, or does he have a chance of having a school keep him in the portal for another year of college? I feel like he signs. But,
he signs. Yeah. I don't think he's going to get the amount of money he wants in the NIL compared to what he'll get from Tennessee, or not Tennessee, but whoever he signs with out of college.
Senior landlocked first baseman's not going to be great.
Yeah, and especially with the year he kind of had, it wasn't great. So. Danny Thompson Jr., by the way, metric darling, 30% whiff rate on the fastball, 33% whiff rate on the slider. It's mid-80s, good changeup. Has been up to 96, but it's a very metrically tuned fastball. So pretty darn good pick for the Blue Jays in terms of what they have and what they're like trying to do with some of the stuff that some of the guys they have to sign at the top. Was just like a low launch runny fastball for Thompson. So I dig it. Josh Tate, also a very good table setter for Pittsburgh. Josh Tate was on the board. Let me see if we find him. 272 is where we had him ranked. Started at Georgia, went to Georgia Southern. Really good contact. There's some power there, mainly pull size, like fringe average power. Might run into a bit with his pull side prowess, but it's a really good speed profile. Probably sticks at center field, maybe second base, depending on what happens. But it's a good table setting profile for Josh Tate. Hey, your boy Kyle McCoy.
Nice. Like that pick for the Reds. I'm a big McCoy fan. I know it's like a low 90s fastball. There's not a ton of swing and miss to it as well. But man, that slider is a lot of fun. That's where he gets most of his swing and miss. It's a really, really good delivery. He repeats it very well. it's just a kind of a high floor, not a ton of ceiling type pitcher. But I think this is good value at pick 234. I don't know where you had him on the board, but Evan Sorry, Mississippi State.
McCoy was 291.
Okay.
For what it's worth. So sorry, I was responding to a text there.
No,
Evan Ciari, like a light thrower. Trying to think. Light thrower, good changeup, good breaking ball. He had a really good start at one point the year too, where he went like 8 shutout with 15 Ks. But yeah, that's like the spiel on him. Let me bring up his data just to be on the safe side here. Yeah, really good. Actually, really good curveball and changeup too. Mid-70s curveball. Got up to 93 this year. 49% whiff rate on the curveball. So Ciari gets chases, does a good job, doesn't walk guys. Good pick. Ben Bybee to Arkansas. He was more of a like a reliever type for them. Don't know too much about him, but I'm gonna dive into the data here and give like a idea of what he is. Throws strikes, throws a decent amount, doesn't miss a ton of bats, but gets good chase rates. Good mid-80s slider, throws more of a curveball though. And he's got feel for a changeup too, with good fade and good depth to it. 36% whiff rate, so it's his best pitch in terms of swing and miss. Good ground ball rate too. So like Bybee's a good pick. Maybe he does start the next level. I don't know. I think that's why he gets taken here. So he might start. It's a good enough amount of strikes to go there. So I dig it.
Jason said they tried to lean on him, but he could never get over the hump. Prone to the long ball. 5-pitch guy, mid-90s.
Yeah. Aiden Crimosa. Now we're getting to the point where some of these guys I don't know a ton of. However,
he's a West Coast guy too.
Yeah. That's what I hate about this. I wish I had more connections on the West Coast. I really do. That's 3 picks for Fresno State, by the way.
Dylan Brown out of Old Dominion just went to the Red Sox.
That's a good pick for the Red Sox. Very funky, crossfire delivery, good changeup, good breaking ball, up to like 90, 91. Big burly kid. He's the guy I pushed up pretty late in the cycle. Kramer Rosa has a curveball that averages 68.8 and misses bats at a 47% whiff rate. Good changeup, doesn't throw hard, averages like 89, but he's been up to 93.
Brandon Arvidsson tells someone from Tennessee, Ben McKee, that he's returning to Tennessee. So he was 160 or something, or 169 on the board, right?
Yeah, I had him somewhere pretty good. Which is weird because I know, I'm trying to remember who it was. It may have been David Seifert that was like, these guys need to be up higher and they're not on prospect boards or anything. I'm like, Arvidsson's kind of high on our board.
Yeah.
And I pushed him up higher. Kind
of crazy.
Ryan Sprott to the Twins. Drafted him as a third baseman. He's been in the portal for fucking ever. And now I think I know why. It's also the Ty Dawson pick, by the way, the Carolinas guy over there for the Twins. Like him a lot. But Sprock doesn't swing and miss a ton. Good power. More of a first baseman, personally, but they'll try him out at third base. Ryan Weingartner is good value here.
Love
He
that.
was a guy that like earlier in the year like looked amazing in person.
Yeah.
Penn State kid probably isn't a infielder. He might get play in like outfield maybe or like second base, but came from St. Joseph's. Trying to think what else. Like didn't miss fastballs, had a bit of a slider issue, but doesn't chase a ton, stays in the zone, draws a ton of walks, and he put the ball in the air 48% of the time this year. So
Yeah.
good EVs as well. Good EVs. So that's a good value pick for the Cardinals there at 240.
Ah, there you go. Jake Knapp.
Malin, you did it. By the way, Melindy's very well liked in the Carolinas. Cubs area scout there. She does a phenomenal job, and the Cubs really trust her. So Cole Mott this last year, I think she had Will Sanders the year before. Jake Knapp is as much as he's old. Again, age has not been a deterrent to this point now. But he was arguably the best arm in all of college baseball this year. So
Yeah.
I'm glad he's being rewarded with that. So great job, first off, to Jake, and great job to Malin for making this a thing. So shout out to you guys for making it possible.
I like that pick a lot. The Cubs are doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I know we just had a Greg on and we're talking about it, but it's a fun draft class, man. I feel like more teams this year, I feel like I'm saying they're doing well, then I'm like, what did they do there? Which is fun. Maybe it's just like the fluidity of the class, but it just feels like there's a lot more positivity in terms of teams' approaches this year.
Yeah. Oh, Danny Macchiarola. It's not going to go to Miami by the looks of it. Just committed there out of Holy Cross. He pitched against UNC, I think, in the regional. I could be mistaken on that. Like a good performer. Not a ton of swing and miss. Fastball has been up 294 with a cutter and a bit of a changeup. Let me see. Did he pitch against UNC? He did. I dig it. Like Macchiarola is a really good performer. This is a older guy committed to Miami in the portal, but he's not going to get there now. Jack Martinez has been around the ballpark a little bit. Was it ULL a couple years ago? He's the guy that, if we remember correctly, the pitching coach like grabbed him by the throat or something in Houston. That's Jack Martinez, but he went to Arizona State, performed well in the starting role this year. Good fastball, good breaking ball, has a bit of a bucket step. I think he's a reliever, but I had a feeling he was probably going somewhere in this 8 to 12 round range. So going to Arizona to pick him up. That's a good, I guess, hometown pick, if you want to call it that. But he's been well traveled, and he's got good stuff. So
I might have missed it, but Landon Schaefer is going to Arkansas.
yes, Landon Schaefer is going to Arkansas.
Nice. That's good. Jack Martinez going on the Diamondbacks. Another Arizona State Sun Devil.
Caitlin Hampson, University of Cumberland. That's an NAIA school, I think.
For the Orioles?
Yep. Interesting metrics, I will say. 36% whiff rate on the heater. Got up to 95. Good cutter, good slider. Looking at some film here. Not a very effortless delivery, kind of wide from the left side. Kind of plays with angles a little bit, a little deceptive. I dig it. I think he pitched for in the NAIA World Series for the University of Cumberland, because I think they made it this year. But yeah, like low release, good fastball, jumps on guys. I dig it.
Nice.
Hayden Vucinovich. That's a name I haven't heard of, actually. Actually, never mind. I have heard of this name. Into the mid 90s and some bullpens earlier in the year, by the looks of it. Pretty projectable by the looks of it as well. So, yeah. Brewers taking again. This is like the Bishop Lesson pick from a couple years ago. There's some effort there, some good extension. Probably think he can start as a result, but like up to 97, really high spin rate, good efficiency. I have to dive into more of his profile a little bit. This is just like surface level looking on Twitter, seeing what he's got. Because again, hadn't heard the name much before today. So, I dig that. Kind of dig that. Kyle Walker to the Astros is fun. He is an interesting infield prospect. Has some good batted ball data. Probably short or not a shortstop, a second baseman for sure. He was at collegiate last year and performed well. So he's a good guy. I'm gonna go grab some water real quick. So Jared, you're on your own for right now.
I'm just gonna keep this silent until you get back. Just pure silence. No,
I'm sure everybody's gonna enjoy that. But I'll be right back.
Sounds good. We are approaching the Braves pick here in the 8th round at 247, and they take Carter Lovasov, and I'm terrible at names, so I don't even know if that's right, out of William and Mary. Let's see. I don't know a ton about this guy. Dig into the data here and see what he's got. Don't think he was on our board either. Yeah, not even in the top 300. Good chase and whiff rates. Really low walk percentage. Good strikeout percentage. Oh, this is a good pick for the Royals here. Royals take Brooks Bryan, catcher out of Troy. This was one of the better catchers that were available. The guy kind of struggled a little bit. Sorry, I'm just sending a message here, but I really love this pick for the Royals. Brooks Bryan's a guy we had on the podcast. You can check that out on the clock. Receives well, frames well, blocks well. Needs some improvement there, but a guy who could stick behind the plate. Little aggressive with this approach, a little bit of swing and miss to the game. But man, he's got 20 homer upside. Like this is a good kid who's really, really impressive. He was higher on our boards starting in the preseason and kind of took a step back in terms of productivity. But you got to be excited if you're the Royals and you take this one. That's a fun pick. Oh, and then the Tigers go back-to-back here with Nick DeBenzo out of Cal Baptist, another guy that we had higher ranked in the preseason. Struggled a little bit throughout the year, had a really, really good slash line in 2024. Performed well in the Cape, which is what kind of had him high up in the preseasons. But the 2025 season, it just was very inconsistent. And so this is a guy that I think you're kind of banking on some potential upside still, and that he can kind of turn it around and turn that corner back to 2024 and what he did in the Cape Cod League. But it's a fun pick. Tigers are continuing to kind of have a strong draft here, and you have to love that. Jamie Hitt out of Oklahoma. Don't know a ton about this guy, so I'll have to dive into the data here. Let's see. Program's taking forever to load. Brian Walters out of Miami goes to the Phillies. He is actually the younger brother of Guardians reliever Andrew Walters. So this is kind of cool. Kind of cool to see here. So looking at Jamie Hitt's data, pretty good fastball velo, averages low 90s with it. More of a cutter, has cutterish action to it at 89. Dabbles with a changeup and a slider, but it's more fastball cutter coming from him in the arsenal. So the fastball sits more in the 92 range, and the cutter's about 89 in terms of velocity. So intriguing pick there. Brian Walters, more of a guy has a sinking fastball that's been up to 97 and a low 80s slider. So another good pick. And Guardians get a really, really good pick here. They take first baseman Anthony Martinez out of UC Irvine. This is a guy that we both really liked coming into the draft season. He hit 394, I believe, with 11 home runs and an OPS like north of 1,000 in 2023. And that kind of started getting him on the radar for a lot of people. I want to see where he came in on our board here. We had him at 182, which kind of seems like a fair spot. So he's been one of the better hitters in the country. He's walked more than he struck out. There's a lot of pure contact skills coming from him. The batting average just kind of been mediocre, but he's been really, really good throughout his entire career. Chases quite a bit, so I think that's kind of the biggest concern you're going to have with Anthony Martinez, but solid value here for the Guardians in the 8th round. Camden Lohman, I don't know a ton about him. Tyler's the guy on the prep side. He's not on our board either, so... Spencer's asking if Bear Jones doesn't go in the top 10 rounds, does he come back to LSU for his last year? Tyler, we got Brooks Bryan in a Kansas City Royals uniform.
Really?
We do.
What picks have I missed? I see Camden
Demenzel.
Lohman.
Anthony Martinez to the Guardians, Brian Walters to the Phillies, Nick Demenzel to the Tigers.
Ooh, Carter Lovaz, Brooks Bryan, Nick Dunsnell, Jimmy Hitt, Brian Walters, Anthony Martinez, Camden Lohman. Okay. Mac Hewer now.
It's a pretty good one. How high do we have Brooks Bryan preseason? Was he like top 50 college?
Yeah, he was in that range because he had a very good showing at collegiate last year.
Yeah.
So yeah. Jack O'Connor got picked by the Dodgers.
Of course he did.
He had another surgery this year too. Damn, that's I'll take the money now. You have to. He turned out a lot in high school, so definitely a saving sign for sure. But O'Connor used to be like one of the best arms in this class, and now, again, redemption in the 8th round, sure. But he again, after that freshman year where he was pretty good, it was really all downhill from there, unfortunately. But
yeah,
this is also a decent fit for him, and also kind of fits their MO, like injured guys kind of go there. Riley Eichhoff to the White Sox in the 9th round here to kind of lead things off.
I like that. That's another good pick.
He earned some good money this year, man.
Yeah. That's another good pick for the White Sox. Like,
Yeah.
they just keep doing it, man. Sorry, I'm getting our Brooks Bryan interview tweeted out. I don't know anything about this guy from Binghamton. Zach Rogacki.
I can tell you he's a hitter. Right fielder at Binghamton. Doesn't swing and miss. Has some decent bop to him. Doesn't strike out. Doesn't chase. High ground ball rate. Definitely like a table setter type by the looks of it.
Nice.
Got some projection to his swing as well. So like, yeah, table setter. Drafting as the catcher though is interesting. Caden Wilson, decent pick in my opinion. He had some second metrics a year ago. Was up to 97. Also Camden Lohman is also really good. Mets pick by the way. Up to 97. Hard 2-point breaker. Yeah, let me see. Caden Wilson, I know, touched 97 in Omaha a year ago. Let me see what he touched this year.
Okay.
Also have some pizza.
Pizza at the house? Leftover pizza or fresh pizza?
Leftover.
Nice.
Yeah, let's see. Caden Wilson, up to 96. High whiff rates on the fastball and the slider. Good changeup. I dig that. I do.
Hmm.
RJ Holmes is going to go to Virginia.
Ooh, Slate Alford.
Good power bat.
Yeah.
Definitely good power bat. There we go. Daniel Buchero. 9th round to the A's. He's an interesting guy. Improved third base defense. Is actually a sneaky good runner. Good power. Young for the class. His twin brother Matt goes to play at Fairfield. He might be picked here shortly. I dig it. I really do.
He's probably another Rekka guy too. I don't know a ton about him.
Yeah, Rekka was the guy that got me on him.
Yeah.
Shout out Rekka again, by the way.
Northeast Draft Guide, check it out. If you
Yes,
want to
sir.
know about Northeast Draft prospects, there's nobody better.
I understand. Yes, he's got his stuff paywalled now. What Rekka does and what he's able to find is invaluable to us.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody watching, anybody listening right now, and if you're not following Rekka, please go do that and go subscribe to his Patreon. He does a phenomenal job.
Wyatt Hensler going to the Nats.
I keep forgetting he's a Texas A&M guy now.
Yeah. No longer Ivy League. Jason said Hensler feels like a remarkable steal, great barrel rates.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably can save some money with that pick too.
100%. I dig it. It's a good senior value. I also love how they got him with the pen hat on MLB. Carson Ligon to the Blue Jays. Interesting cat. He was highly regarded at the prep, had a really good changeup. Went to Miami for I think 2 years, and now went to Mississippi State. And actually had a bit of a breakout this year, a little bit to start. Looked really good. Changeup is still exceptional. Slider has gotten better. Fastball averages 95. High ground ball rate got up to 98 this year. Pretty good arm, honestly. Like, he was a guy I debated putting on the board yesterday, but just ultimately just couldn't find a spot for him. So I dig this. This is good. This is a good pick for Blue Jays, especially with them trying to save some money here.
Yeah, you're basically looking for money savings and then just banking on some tools. Jared Jones off the board with the Pirates. Maybe he'll play with Paul Skeens.
Big boy hit ball far.
Yep.
Big boy hit ball hard. Big boy hit home run a lot. That's the gist of Jared Jones.
Yeah.
Landlocked at first base, but let me tell you, that's some of the best raw power in all of college baseball. And I think saying raw power is misinterpreting it, because he gets to that power in game. It's just quite a bit of swing and miss. But the approach changed this year. Did better against breaking balls, and did get better against elevated velocity. I kind of like this value here. I don't know if I agree with Ethan Frey being ahead of him or being picked ahead of him, but at the end of the day, like, it works out. Somebody alert Key and View Enjoyer in the Discord, please.
He is a Red. Cincinnati Red, Key and Vu. Arizona State Sun Devil. This guy has put up video game numbers for Arizona State basically over the last 2 years. So good for him, man.
It's good. I enjoy that. Again, I understand. I'm going to get shit for not keeping Key and View on the top 300 like I said I would. But I made sure to be the first person to tag them in Discord.
Yeah. I just looked in there to see what you sent. Gotta love it.
By the way, best part about Jared Jones going to the Pirates, Jared Jones and Jared Jones.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll play together in the same game.
I would blow my brains out trying to figure out who's who.
Another Duke guy off the board to Texas.
Owen Prosh, baby. Yep, that's a Texas. I had a feeling Texas was in on him when I got told about him earlier on the year. They were asking me, it's like, what's it look like?
Mm-hmm.
So I went out and saw it, and I was like, it looks damn good. It's what it looks like. So Prosh is your nondescript, like, good extension, up to 92, 93. Good sweeper, and he's got a good feel for a changeup. He definitely was an unheralded guy this year because he got asked to step into the Friday night role at Duke out of the blue because all their rotation options kind of either stunk or got hurt. And Proch really excelled in that role. So glad to see he's being rewarded for that with the pick to the Rangers. I think that's a pretty good value for him. We had him at like 300. Reed Worley to the Giants is fascinating.
Yeah. 300,000 RPMs on the slider.
More than that, yeah. And the pretty good makeup, too, from what I've heard as well. Fastball up to 93, really projectable. The slider's the moneymaker. I would imagine that's an overslot deal a bit, but it was also a Kennesaw State commit, so we'll see what the number is. Maybe he gets 200K, maybe a bit higher, but I like that.
Yeah.
Mason Nichols to the Rays. Was it USA for 2 years in a row? Part of the team that won the Natty, I do believe, in 22. Likely another senior sign for the Rays, but he's got some decent stuff to him. Let me see some of the data here. I think it's definitely a hoppy fastball, but doesn't miss a ton of bats. But the changeups, he's got a good feel for a changeup when he does throw it. So. Boston. Got some heat going to Boston now.
Oh, Jacob Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Throws ball hard. Command is definitely not there, but it's an interesting metric guy. High IVB from a high slot downhill angle. Was at Nicholls State for 2 years, then went to LSU. Got a ring out of it.
Yeah.
Loves to put the fastball on the top rail. And the whiff rates are nutty. He is also 80% fastball.
Yeah.
With very bad command. But again, like, could be very useful in a relief role, I think, with the kind of stuff that he has. Like, it's a hard downer slider in the upper 80s. Good feel for a changeup, but predominantly fastball. Justin Mitrovich. I think that's both Elon guys that were going to be off the board to Twins.
I like Mitrovich.
Remember when he almost shut out the preseason #1 Aggies opening weekend?
Yeah.
Let me see. He's a bit of a reliever, in my opinion, too. Just feel like shorter stride. Command kind of comes and goes. Like, his fastball command is not good, but his fastball changeup command, pretty good slider feel as well. But fastball command is not great. But it's a good mix of pitches. So, Michael Detallo to the Cardinals.
That was a guy you saw, right?
Mm-hmm. I was high on him because I thought, this is a guy that can hit for average, have some pop to him, can play a decent third base, but then kind of just didn't have the greatest year. The power never really showed up. Hit tool kind of backed up a little bit, but it's good value here. Like, this is about roughly where we expected him to go.
Royals have gone very heavy on savers, so I'm starting to wonder, are they trying to make a play in the 11th round or something and do an overslot deal? Just depends on how much they're paying Gamble and Hammond, I guess.
A lot. Bring struck. Colton Book to the Cubs.
Nice.
On the script, lefty starter. Missed a lot of bats this year, actually, despite not throwing hard. Really deceptive. Glad he's being rewarded.
Was he like the 88 to 90 guy that Rekka's seen quite a few times, right? Or you saw him too? I can't remember.
No, I didn't see him. It was definitely just Rekka. Seattle. Oh my God. Yes.
You like this guy?
Jackson Steensma was in line to have a very good year this year, but he blew out in the Sunbelt tourney a year ago. Had TJ in like September, I think, and didn't pitch this year, but really, really good fastball metrics. It's a really low slot, quite a bit of carry, misses a ton of bats, predominantly heater. And I snuck him in on this board update because I had a feeling he was going, but then up to 96, flat approach angle, great extension, great shape. I dig it. I really do.
Wonder how quick rounds 11 through 20 are going to go, given we are approaching 3.5 hours.
Literally.
Do they take a? You said they take a break after 10.
It's an hour break after 10.
That's nutty. I get it though. Like you need to eat lunch. Wallace Clark going to the Diamondbacks.
Wally, really good shortstop. Really good. Bat probably doesn't project too much in the future, but he performed very well this year atop the Duke lineup, so I dig it.
So I'm going to ask you another Royals question. Do you think that Ham and Gamble are probably getting like 8-9 million combined?
Wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. Cam Lee out of Mineral Area Junior College. Everybody watch Tyler eat pizza.
Pizza ASMR. Yeah, I don't know much on Cam Lee. JUCO guy though. Andrew Healy to the Brewers.
Interesting. Seen a lot of Duke guys go off the board this round.
I want to say that would be, I think this area guy in Carolinas for Brewers is named Taylor. So that's his guy. Healy's interesting. We all thought he was going to really break out as a sophomore. Never really happened. Kind of inconsistent. But he's flashed like 94, 95 in shorter spurts. Has a good breaking ball, good changeup. Like it's a projection play.
Yeah,
I definitely see the upside here. So Taylor, if you're listening, or I understand if you're busy, get stuff on that.
Kellen Oaks out of Oregon State to the Astros. Tyler Darren, Taylor's got a question. Do you think Jack Bauer is signable in round 11?
No. If he's not been paid now, I've been told he's not signing.
Yeah, Mississippi State's got a lot of money to work with.
If he gets like $4 million in the 11th, which I think is impossible because that would be blowing the ever-loving doors off of the post round signing bonus. There's just no way I envision him signing at this point.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
By the way, Kellen Oaks. Why did I think he was eligible next year?
He's 02, 11/29/02.
Odin Braunschweig, UAB. That's a good senior sign right there for Atlanta. Kellen Oaks, pretty good slider, decent changeup, fastball nondescript, high ground ball rate, and has also been up to 98. And also went to Omaha.
Ready for the Royals' next money saver pick.
As I just stick like half the pizza in my mouth.
Yeah. Shane Van Dam out of NC State.
He came back from TJ earlier this year.
Did he?
Yep.
Got to be a money saver, right?
He's interesting. He was a football player in D3 when he was at SUNY Cortland. Then transferred to NC State, looked really good as a sophomore, up to 96, good breaking ball. Got hurt. And then didn't pitch really until like later on this year, but he's a good kid.
Sorry, I lost you there. My headset came unplugged.
I said good kid.
Nice. Trevor Heischman out of St. John Bronco High School in California. Goes to the Tigers.
Good stuff. Fastball metric. Pretty solid.
We're going to get like a 4-hour stream in here.
I am going to be probably asked to leave here shortly.
That's fine. I'm in no rush. Or I'm in no need to stick around. We'll keep tweeting out picks and stuff here and there through the rest of the rounds. Will Koger out of Arizona State going to the Padres.
About 10, 15 minutes. So, like, I think we can get to this next round.
Yeah.
Potentially. Will Koger went from Louisville to Arizona State, too, by the way.
What time are you leaving for the draft? Or, sorry, the home run derby?
We're going somewhere else first, I think.
Nice.
More on Cam Lee, because I was eating pizza in the middle of that. Very buzzy coming up. Very young for the class 2. Very wiry. Good bat speed. Good bat the ball.
Nice.
So that's a good selection there from Baltimore. Phillies take Matthew Ferrara. Interesting. I think that. That's a pick commit. Pitt got shelled a little bit with Legenda and now Ferrara.
Yeah.
By the way, Michael Winter, who was committed to Dartmouth, has recommitted to Texas.
What?
Yeah. He
So he's
decommitted a couple weeks ago. Nobody knew.
So he's going to campus, probably.
More than likely. Ryan Breaker to the Indians. Guardians. Why? That was a fuck up.
So it goes from a 3rd rounder to a 9th rounder.
Yeah, not the greatest. It just makes me wonder what Cleveland's doing in 10th round now. But my apologies to the Guardians fans. I said the Indians, just off rip. Not proud of that one.
Yeah.
Anthony Frobos to the Mets.
The one team I thought that could be in on Winter is the Royals because he's a hometown kid, but I don't know if they had the money to do it unless they're getting a ton of savings right now.
Yeah. By the way, thing on Frobo's, because he was a late pick, late add to the board the other day. Two-way guy. Again, shout out Rekka for letting me know about this kid. Very athletic, very young for the class. Up to 93 on the mound, but he ended up having a injury, had surgery for it. So he's really been looked at as a shortstop, and it's really bouncy, really twitchy in the field. Swing needs some work, but there's bat speed, there's loft to it. So Frobos is a good bet. Gillespie to the Yankees.
I like that.
I know somebody that'd be very happy about that right now.
Peter. 99 whiffs on his slider.
He threw primarily slider all year.
Yeah, that's crazy. Dodgers are going to do something we hate. Well, love, but hate because the Dodgers did it. Hurry up, Dodgers. If Appenzeller doesn't go in the 10th, do you think there's any shot he gets drafted?
No.
Or is he going to campus? Yeah.
He's already there. Connor O'Neill from SELU.
Kind of crazy that Tennessee could potentially likely be getting Henry Ford and Cam Appenzeller.
I think it's not likely. I think it's happening at this point.
That's wild.
By the way, Connor O'Neill hammers fastballs. Absolutely hammers fastballs. Doesn't chase a ton, but has some whiffs issues against sliders and changeups. Pulls the ever loving hell out of the baseball. Fly ball rate pretty high. 14 home runs this year.
Dana Wright out of Iowa. First one in the 10th.
I prefer Gable Mitchell a little bit. Dana Wright's good.
Austin Newton out of South Florida.
Big kid.
What's that?
Stupidly big kid. Let me tell
he?
you. Yeah, he's like 6'8", 240.
God, Dana Wright's 6'9", 245, the guy that went before him.
We love our big kids. Yeah, Newton average 93.5 up to 97, mid-A slider. Primarily those two pitches, maybe like 70% heater, but yeah. Jake McCutcheon, very good for Miami.
Hmm.
His hard hit rate is insane.
Crazy that we're already on the 10th round. I say already. I mean, crazy that we are on the 10th round.
Yeah.
1,300 people coming in. Kind of cool. For day 2.
Just to watch me eat pizza.
That's why I'm here. Really not to talk the draft. Just here to watch you. Not even eat pizza, just watch you. Nick Rodriguez, Missouri State.
Back-to-back Missouri State picks.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Both second basemen. Who are you most excited to see get to campus?
Probably Appenzeller.
Yeah.
I'd have to say so. Just anybody else. I'd probably just Appenzeller, to be honest. I would say Henry Ford in that ballpark in Tennessee is going to be fun. Just there's a lot ongoing with that swing. So Sam Dunton to the A's.
I like that. See, this is what, again, Peyton should have been here for this stream. This has been like the Auburn stream.
Mississippi State home run leader all time, Hunter Hines to the Nationals.
I don't know enough about Hines. I should know more.
Stupid power.
Yeah.
Stupid power. Toronto should be my final pick here because we got to go.
Okay. We'll wrap up after this one.
Yeah. Or if you want to keep going until the end, that's fine.
I don't think I'm going to go solo until the end.
I mean, the end of this round.
Oh, yeah, to the end of this round even.
Yeah. Austin Smith to the Toronto Blue Jays.
Nice.
He started the game on the mound and finished it in center field. So
intriguing.
Yeah.
What do you got for us for final thoughts?
Fun draft class. I'm excited for a few of these teams. Dodgers, Brewers, Rays specifically. I think the bigger thing here is obviously thank you to the viewers, the readers, everybody in between that's really helped us in the first year here at Just Baseball. Like Aram and everybody, we're going to go meet up with them shortly. But like it's been phenomenal working with these guys and having the background that we've had, background help. It's been fantastic. So,
Shout out Elijah.
Elijah is still in the house with me right now too. It's just been super fun with these guys, and there's a lot of stuff that we want to do next year, or at least this next cycle. Anyways, I'll be 18U trials this week, and then hopefully going to area codes. But
2026 starts already.
Yeah, we've already started it. So like we've learned what we need to kind of focus on in the next year, and we're going to go ahead and tackle that. So again, can't thank you guys enough for all the support, just reading our stuff, spreading it, doing what you guys do. Um, definitely very proud of what we've been able to do in the first, half a year with just baseball, and having the connections that we do, having the ability to do what we do has been, phenomenal from everybody, ground up. So, um, just great stuff. Really, that's all I've got to say on that. Like, I'm very, very happy with what we've been able to do, and I'm very much looking forward to what we're able to accomplish later on. And we're going to have some superlative draft stuff out later this week. Obviously, I'll be 18 U's on Thursday. I drive back Wednesday. But again, if you're in Atlanta this week, either the Derby or the game tomorrow, we'll be there. So hit us up. Feel free to approach us, talk some ball, talk some shop. We'll love to meet some of you guys. But yeah, I mean that's it. Just like, again, huge thank you to everybody involved. Jared, JD, Greg, Connor. There's a list of guys that are just involved in everything. And just forever grateful for you guys.
Yeah,
very much so. And like, same can be said for the viewers at home too. Like, the way I look at it is 6 years ago, I just started in this business, had no idea how it was going to evolve. 6 years later, attending your first draft in person and being in the room, breaking some picks, getting really to know people around the industry too. And another thing too was just being able to live a dream. So this is rewarding, very rewarding. So long-winded, sorry, but
no, man, I agree with you. I mean, this has been an awesome first year. We're excited what we're about to grow and build. Just through the college season, through the draft, all the support you all given us, the support that Just Baseball has given us, it's been awesome. But until next time, we'll see you.